So, here we are yet again. Sunday, our glorious Sunday. No, not the Super Bowl Sunday. The podcast Sunday. Who cares about sports when we could be talking about games? Today, my friends, we are diving not only into the deepest, darkest bowels of hell itself, but we are also climbing up the mountain to the top of the heavens of gaming. We have so many things to discuss. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Helldivers, Xbox seemingly in flames, but then also not apparently. Really odd how a lot of that thing. We'll get into that. We'll discuss that. We'll definitely discuss that. And many other things. Last Epoch is on its road to success, and I do believe that it will shock quite a lot of people. Now, with that said, my friends, welcome back to the Just Gaming Podcast. Have a seat. Join us. Today is yet another glorious day in gaming. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Good things, good things.
Sorry. All right. Here we go. Me. Welcome to the Just Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Ian.
And I'm Mark.
And that's Mark. Oh, good Lord. Today, everyone, we have a wide docket of things to discuss. I'm just going to let you guys know any super chats from today's stream is going straight to my haircut. So,
please donate.
So, with that said, we have a ton of different things to get into today. It has been a very, very busy week in gaming. So, my friend, what have you been playing?
I started Persona 3 Reload. I tried that out. It is 100%. I realize it's not like Persona's just not for me. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Decent game, plays well. It's just not for me.
Why do you gotta like start in and just ruin the vibe? Like,
I'm not ruining the vibe. I'm just giving you a little taste of everything I played. Pal World, I finished. So
I'm just looking forward to seeing the comments after this podcast goes up of being like, you know what? I kind of liked Mark before. I don't really like him anymore.
It's okay. I mean, I understand why people like it, and I can explain later of why I don't like it. Pal World, I finished up what I think all I'm going to do with it, so I uninstalled it, and I'll wait to. I uninstalled. I've been playing it on Game Pass. I plan on buying it on Steam. So,
okay. Yeah, I got you.
So, me and you jammed some Enshrouded for a while, and then I played Enshrouded most of all Saturday, and that game is rage-inducing for me a little bit. So,
what game? Sorry,
Enshrouded. It's a little rage-inducing. And then I this morning I woke up and I jammed and beat the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo. So and pre-purchased.
Very nice.
Which is odd because I would normally just wait for it to come on PC.
Yeah. Good luck with that one. So, all right. Before I get to my part, let me just say hello to everybody in chat. Audio, Gaming Fire, Jax, Owen Knight for the win, Dark Hollow, Jimmy. And everybody over there on Twitch as well. Welcome to the show, Bobertosh and Novo. What did I play this week? I kind of hopped around a lot. This week I did a lot more writing because obviously I did a few videos this week, so I was kind of stuck doing that. With that said, played a little bit of Power World, not very much. Just because I have like a multiplayer realm, so I kind of have to go with the flow when the opportunity arises to be able to actually play it. I'm at the point with the game where I've done enough to get like a pretty solid understanding of what I think about it so far, how much I enjoy it, the things that I want to change. I've made like 3 or 4 videos on the damn thing already. I have another video I'm working on right now for Pal World. So there's a lot more to discuss with that game going forward, but we'll kind of get into that, as time goes on. Obviously, I played the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo. We're going to talk about that. That's definitely one of the main things we're going to discuss today. I meant to hop in and give I kind of want to play Last Epoch before it comes out, but I also don't really feel like the need is really there. Like, I've seen a lot of other creators go into it. I'm like, maybe I should too. And I'm like, you know what? We'll probably just give it a break. We'll just wait until it's done. And then I played a little bit of Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I need to get further into the game because I've been hearing from so many people that like the end game loops of it are a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Where I'm at, and I would like to play that with you. So.
Yeah, I know. I'll work on it this week. Okay, I'll work on it this week. I'm pretty much tied up, and then obviously we played some Enshrouded as well.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see where the future of a lot of these games is headed, to be honest with you. But Grand Blue is online. Yes, it is an online game. It's you can play it online or offline. I think you can do multiplayer or multiplayer co-op, 4 players. You can do all kinds of different stuff, single player, whatever. So yeah. I think we should just kind of dive into it because we got a lot of different things to cover today.
Yeah, and some of it is super nuanced. So
I have a lot of things to say. I'm probably gonna get a little bit emotional. I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably gonna. I promised
myself I wouldn't cry.
I'm probably gonna get a little emotional today, guys. There's a lot of different things I want to talk about, and this podcast is probably gonna be a little bit more long-winded than it always is. Never mind. So, let's start. Before we get into the games, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. I want to talk about the whole Xbox situation. We lightly got to touch on it our last podcast because somebody kind of broke the news in our live stream chat at that point. But I definitely want to kind of
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there. You've got what's happening at Xbox, what's happening on Twitter with its community. And what's oddly weird about the whole situation is that just from surface level is it's still just a rumor.
Yeah. Largely, yeah.
It's nothing has been confirmed. It's just a rumor, but because there is logically, I almost said ideology. Logically, it
there's definitely ideology involved.
Oh my God. Logically, it makes sense on a business move for Microsoft themselves to put some of their games third party. Like Bethesda was, like you mentioned before, Bethesda was a third party developer before Microsoft bought them.
Yep.
Activision Blizzard, Microsoft said to them, even to the FTC, that they're going to stay largely left alone to be a third-party company.
Activision Blizzard,
yeah. So I don't understand why people are freaking out. Do you honestly believe, Xbox fans, that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be Xbox exclusive? Honestly,
I would be genuinely floored if they went that direction with it. Like it would be. I would imagine many people probably think that. I would imagine many people would probably think that Elder Scrolls 6 on a. I'm actually going to enlarge this slightly. I'm going to bring that right there, and we'll call that a day. All right. It would look like a power move if you're an actual Xbox, owner, right? Yeah. They'd be like, "Oh man, this is it. This is how you get people to come in to buy your Xbox." But this is fundamentally the main issue that I have with these companies and why I would love them to just go multi-platform. I would rather everything be. Personally, I would rather games be available to everyone. And you shared a clip.
I did share. Well, we'll call it entertainment. That's what we'll do. We'll call it.
Yeah. So, a mutual friend, acquaintance of ours, Risk It for the Biscuit, who's an Xbox commentator, really big on Twitter more than anything else, hosts of a podcast is himself, kind of commented on both commented on both the opinions of mine as well as Asmongold's as well, and talked about how PC gamers are a bit out of the loop. We're disconnected in ways because we just think that make games more available to more people, and that's a good thing, and then that's where the thinking stops. However, that's not where the thinking stops. When I'm looking at a company like Bethesda as an example, one, from Microsoft's perspective, you're looking at completely shedding a shitload of sales that you otherwise would have because that company's games were available to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, those games were sold everywhere. They were on PC, they were on PlayStation, they were on Xbox. And because of that wide availability, they made massive money in sales. So, one, from a business perspective, it makes sense to make sure that these games are available to more players. But also, just from a moral standpoint of wanting games to be available to more people because that's what being fair is, and then people trying to champion the idea that this somehow generates competition in the industry, and, it is bad for consumers, but it's a necessary evil, drives me up the wall. Because what this does is it started a precedent where these companies where I think that Nintendo should have its Mario. I think that I think that Sony should have its Kratos. I think that Xbox should have its Master Chief. But the problem is that when those wells run dry and people aren't buying just those IPs anymore, and that's getting far too repetitive, what they start doing is they start looking out into the rest of the industry and saying, well, we'll just buy whatever else is popular. That isn't competitive. That's market segregation. You're literally forcing us to buy things from you. That's not being innovative. That's not being competitive. No, that's literally forcing us into areas where if we want to play that game, we have to buy your console. And personally, I think that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Final Fantasy VII, for example. I realized this morning, because like I said, I played and beat it this morning, and we'll talk about that later. I just want to talk about this because it pertains exactly to what you're saying. I realized this morning that I am a PC Andy now. I didn't think that I was. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've always made the joke, haha, PC Master Race, whatever. I feel terrible on the inside when I turn on that PlayStation. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. It just does.
Yeah.
And then it was the main reason that I had a problem with Final Fantasy 16 was the way that it ran on the console. Like it was unplayable to me because I couldn't get the frame rate and screen tearing to be to where it was acceptable. On this demo, I'm able to turn the performance mode on, and it was 60 frames, and everything was kind of muddy, but at least it was 60 frames per second, and it tricked my brain. So I have an unfair biasness towards consoles now because I've been on PC for so long.
Yeah.
Now, Final Fantasy VII, to your point, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is not a better game because Sony bought it or paid for the exclusivity. I think it makes it a worse game because they have to develop for a specific console for it.
So, like, I get where you're coming from. Psychro, thank you for the follow over on Twitch. I get where you're coming from a performance standpoint. However, the thing is that I think far too often we get into this as PC primary players, we get into this talk of performance over everything else, and I think that's where we lose the console crowd. Because for the most part, while they do care about the performance of their console, they want higher frame rate. They don't really they hear that and they're like, oh, PC gamers talking about how fast and how awesome their games play. No, do you know what? I'm actually going to ignore that part of the discussion entirely and just say this. One of the things that I have seen a lot of people try to say, and this is pretty much a blanket term that I've seen across many people that are on the side of consoles, that are on the side of exclusivity specifically, say that we are getting more games and better games as a result of these exclusive deals. That because these companies are being funded by Xbox, by PlayStation, by Nintendo to make games for them, that by extension, we're actually getting better games in the industry as a result of that. And that is actually fucking false. That's it. It's just false. And what I mean by that is that if we look at a game specifically like Final Fantasy, tell me where exactly has that the exclusivity of Final Fantasy games on PlayStation, the timed exclusivity for the most part, led to either A, better Final Fantasy games, or B, Final Fantasy competitors that came out from these other consoles that are exclusive for them that actually became challengers. Because I'm looking at the rest of the industry, and many of the games that I would view as competitors to Final Fantasy games are multi-platform. So what ends up happening is that you end up, when I brought up before and I was talking about market segregation, where we're actually forcing players, we're shoehorning them into specific markets. If I was a Final Fantasy fan, or if I was a Japanese role-playing fan, why would I buy anything other than a PlayStation? Because I'm going to get all of those games, and I'm going to be able to play Final Fantasy at the same time. This automatically makes it where both Nintendo and Xbox are less inclined to try to make a Final Fantasy competitor, because all of the Final Fantasy fans that like playing those games are already on PlayStation to begin with. You're not going to be ripping them off of the PlayStation ecosystem. That's not how this works. And most people don't have the money to go out and spend on multiple consoles. The idea of wanting games to not be third-party exclusive is the fact that people have more choice in what hardware they use to play their games. They're not shoehorned into only playing in one place. They can play anywhere they want to. That way, what ends up happening is that gamers actually get the choice to pick what kind of hardware they want. And then these companies actually have to compete with their first-party titles, which sadly enough, most of the time we call their first-party titles the studios that they have purchased, which that's obviously a whole other thing, because those waters have been muddied for a long time.
Muddied is...
But along with that, what ends up happening is that if they don't have the crutch of exclusives to lean on, then they have to actually compete by their hardware, which means that gamers get better hardware in their home. And then on top of that, they have to innovate on the interfaces of these things and make them not only better, like better functionality, but better machines and better quality OSs, et cetera, et cetera.
And it should, and to your point on that, it should control the pricing on those consoles as well, if they're competing more on hardware. Because the last generation, the PS4 was significantly a better system than the Xbox One. This generation, the Xbox One is hardware spec wise is a better system than the PS5, but they're very similar architecture. You know what I mean? So now it's basically just down to what third party exclusives and first party exclusives that they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going not moving on, but staying in the ballpark. I just want to hit the second part of what's going on with this drama. A part of what's going on with the drama. Do you feel okay? Would you feel it unjustified for Microsoft to start showing some or putting some of their games third party due to the fact that Sony is outselling Xbox 3-1 right now? Okay, so three PlayStation consoles to every one Xbox console. So if you spend $100 million to $250 million making a game, and your base install is only 27 million consoles versus the 53 54 million consoles of the PS5, wouldn't you want? I mean, I think that in itself should justify it. And I'm not saying this to just go towards PlayStation, or PlayStation should do that either. I think, like you said, Marcus Phoenix needs to stay on Xbox. That's Xbox. No, I get console exclusives. You have to have a reason to buy the box.
You have to have an identity for your console, for your platform or whatever.
But there are games that, like, you've just purchased all of these studios. None of them have started a game, a fan base specifically off of their launch title. Do you think people are buying Xboxes to play Redfall? Nope, they're not.
No.
Arcane's got Blade coming out. That more than likely could be on multi-consoles or multi-platform. It just makes more sense. So back to my question. Do you think it's justifiable in your eyes for them to do that when they have a smaller console base? Because they're not selling the consoles, and they've already said that they can't win the console war.
Yeah, I mean, from a top-down perspective, like, they have to make money, so they have to get a return on investment for the games that they make. But also at the same time, the thing is that, like, understand this: the reason why Microsoft is or Xbox is having the issues that they're having is largely just because their first-party titles that they have put out have just not been good. So, and keep in mind, they already sell in multiple marketplaces. Most of their games are same day on Steam as well. Right? Yep. So they're on Steam. They have a PC. It's not just selling Xboxes, because they're also a PC subscriber base as well that they have. But at the same time, at least what I've seen, most players don't go towards using Game Pass on Xbox or on PC. They just buy the games off Steam like they normally do, because people like to stay within their ecosystems.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I like all my games being on Steam.
Yeah,
so having my Steam library, I get it.
Of course, they're justified in wanting to try to increase whatever sales they can, because they need to, because they have to recoup whatever they spent on making these games in the first place. And we know that even if they have 25 million subscribers on Game Pass, that's not enough to cover the costs of all the money that they spend on Game Pass exclusive deals, to cover the cost of the development they have ongoing, just general research and development on the Xbox console system, all of the employees that Xbox employs, all the employees that all these studios employ. I think a lot of the times people just kind of, when I was hearing some of these guys say that our thought process ends with making games available to more people is a good thing. No, apparently that's where their thought process ends, because what I'm thinking about the general costs of what Xbox is dealing with, when we're saying, oh, well, we spent $250 million to make a game, that doesn't necessarily cover everything that studio has going on. Every single person working at that studio, every single project that's going on at that studio. There's a whole lot of different layers to this cake, and to just try to cut out one slice and say this is the cost, that's not the cost. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they're justified in trying to shop around some of their titles and find somewhere else to put them. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But one of the things that I wanted to bring up too, and more or less, like, I'm just trying to, like, debate some of the high points that people have brought up, saying that, our position of not wanting exclusives is wrong. And then they somehow equate it to, like, we want Xbox to go away. I don't give a fuck about consoles. I sure, they should exist. I think that they should. I think people should be able to have choice in hardware. I think that's a great thing. I don't want Xbox to disappear. That's not what it always boils down to this weird, like, you just want us to lose. No, there's no fucking war, dude. There's no war. It's a machine in your living room. There's no war. Yeah, war never changes. There's no war, guys. There's no war. There's no win or lose or anything like that, even though that's the terminology that many of these companies use to try to get you on board with being on that war, because it's free marketing for them, and it keeps you zealous in making sure that you're always purchasing that console and its content that they put out for it. Now, with that said, one of the things that I heard people say is, well, if you follow this to its ultimate conclusion, which is that if Xbox does start selling things, third party, then people go, well, there's no reason for me to own an Xbox, and then people stop buying an Xbox, and then as a result, PlayStation and Nintendo start jacking their prices because there's less competition in the market.
So you're just saying that, that thought right there bothers me. First of all, Microsoft isn't selling consoles. Obviously, they are in third place. They are not selling consoles. So just because they're in the console market isn't the only thing that's holding Sony in check. Do you remember when the PS3 came out and it was fucking $5.99 and nobody fucking bought it? Yeah. Nobody bought it. It's weird, huh?
Yeah.
Like, people speak with their wallets. They just do. Yeah. I mean, you're going to, like, it just is what it is. I don't think Microsoft having a console is going to instantly make Sony and Nintendo go, you know what? Our games are now $100.
Yeah, no, it's not. And the other thing is too, is that, like, they're like, they equate that the reason why the Xbox would die is because there'd be even less of an install base or less people buying Xboxes, because third-party developers wouldn't even want to make games for the Xbox anymore because it'd be too costly. But what they forget is this isn't the Xbox One, PS3, PS4 era or anything like that. No, this era, the architecture is so fucking similar that they're damn near the same thing. One's just slightly more powerful than the next, and making games and porting games for both of those consoles doesn't really cost much of anything. So no, there is no like, oh, they're just going to stop wanting to make games for the Xbox because, you know, it's going to be too costly for these companies to do so. No, that's not how this is working. You're delusional to think so otherwise. Now, nobody is.
This is globally. I'm talking globally. Okay. Right now the Xbox Series S and X, and I'm not harping on Xbox. I love Xbox, and I have for a long time. But they are right now. Xbox is racing itself with the Xbox One generation to just stay at the same pace.
What are you talking about? They created a second Xbox One generation by literally making an Xbox Series
that's what I'm saying.
Series S.
Like sales wise and time frame, they are right on pace to be right where they were with the Xbox Series, the Xbox One.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like, okay, so when people bring up Game Pass, they bring up the 25 million people that have Game Pass. I can guarantee you the majority of the people who own an Xbox Series X or S have Game Pass because they bundled in Xbox Live with Game Pass now. So it's an automatic wash on that. So like I don't even look at Game Pass. Game Pass to me is their new vehicle. It's their new console.
It is their new console.
That's their console. So it's a complete wash. So what's left over is them selling games on other devices like PC, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever. That's their new console is Game Pass.
Bro, this is like a surprised Pikachu moment for the Xbox fans. When Phil Spencer comes out and says we want games to be available to everyone everywhere. And then all of a sudden
did he say that? What? That's weird. He said that in 2016?
Yeah, weird. Yeah, like they've been talking about this forever. Yes, they have not specifically mentioned the fact that they want to sell games on Nintendo and PlayStation. They've danced around the idea, but this is what their ultimate plan is to do, because many of these companies, and we've talked about it time and time again, many of these companies want to go to the point where they don't need the hardware anymore. It saves them an obscene amount of money. I talked about this on one of my last streams. Do you guys have any idea how expensive it is to fucking do the research and development, then on top of that, actually produce these consoles in the first place, then ship these consoles, then market these consoles? The amount of money that these companies would save by literally just becoming companies that make games and put those games on a marketplace for people to sell, and that's about it, is insane. And they make money. They don't make nearly as much off of the they make way more money off of the software than they ever do the hardware. And by getting rid of that whole entire hardware division in the future, they're going to be able to make a ton of money. Now, the difference between Xbox's and Sony's position is that Xbox is very wants to be ahead of the curve, right? They see the industry going in the direction of Netflix. They are 100% believing that is the future of where games are going to be. People are no longer going to be buying games. People are instead going to be subscribing to game programs instead. Sony, on the other hand, is bucking that trend, and they believe that that's not going to be the case. They think that people are still going to want the hardware, and that people are still going to want their games delivered on a console. They think that they should still have the option to have a service. It's the reason why they have like PlayStation Plus and stuff like that.
Yep.
But regardless, they're more on a traditional sense staying in the gaming market, where Xbox is, really trying to future-proof too early, if that makes any sense. They're putting all of their ducks in the basket of they're putting all their eggs in the basket of XPlay and Game Pass. Those are the two things that they are wanting to push more than anything else, because they think that within the next 10 years, that is going to be the future.
Yeah, 100%. And like we were saying is, I think they're seeing the lesson. Okay, they spent $70 billion buying Activision Blizzard, King, but Halo Infinite didn't sell more Xboxes. Redfall definitely didn't sell more Xboxes. Starfield didn't sell more Xboxes, and Starfield was supposed to be it's going to sell more Xboxes.
That was their beacon of hope, right?
It didn't. You know what I mean? A lot of people like me, and even you used to, that's where we met, was on Xbox Live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once we went to PC, because we realized, Game Pass is on PC, I can just play it on PC. So, I don't have to be in the console rat race. I don't have to be in the rat race. Here's where I'm getting triggered. I don't have to be in the rat race where I have to compromise every fucking generation. Where I have to, oh, hey guys, we're gonna sell you 60 frames 4K. Psych. Here's a $500 console that's supposed to be a 2080 Super. Psych.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to mess with that. I don't have to stress about it. I don't have to sit there and always wonder if I'm getting the best experience that I can out of it. And
well,
yes,
that and the thing is like it's like the optimization issue as well, right? Because like, and by the way, I'm not dunking on consoles.
I'm not dunking on consoles either.
You know what I mean? Like people like I do realize that some PC gamers have to recognize people just like playing on a console.
They do. People like sitting on a couch and they like playing on the big screen. I get it.
It's not even a screen. They like the tactile like console experience, right? Of having the little box under the TV, and that's how they play their games. There's people that just like that stuff.
The best benefit of a console is your game is supposed to work every time. Like it's gonna work.
Yeah,
no
there's wide variability in playing on PC. There is. And I hate to, I mean, I'm gonna try not to, but I'm still going to probably blame it on consoles that our variability is there in the first place, because it's usually the ports that are the ones that don't work for us, because the games are made for the console first rather than us. But
first,
they largely have to make the games for the console first because it makes more sense to, because there's no variation in the console. The console is just the console. Every PlayStation 4 is going to be a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, sorry. Every Xbox Series X is going to be a Series X, and then all of a sudden they like to introduce the Series S. So like there's a lot. It's a much more like closed off and restricted environment for them to be able to build and optimize their game in. There's a lot more variation when it comes to playing on a PC. Understand that, but
or as Asmund says, bootleg PC.
Bootleg PC. Yeah, that caught me off guard. I got a good laugh out of that for sure. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a really complex issue. And, like, listening to, also on top of that, man, like, I just don't necessarily know exactly how to, like, I get where I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of I think there's two pairs of shoes you can put on. You can put the pair of shoes on of the people that are on social media that are like, I'm done with Xbox. How dare you betray me? Woe is me. Eat to Brute. But at the same time, I'm thinking about this also from the perspective of somebody that actually is invested in the console ecosystem of the Xbox franchise. And I would be pissed, because think if you were that person that bought an Xbox because you thought that was the only, because again, this goes back down to the topic I was talking about before, where it is Margaret, God damn it, Margaret. It's market segregation, where they're putting us into these columns where, if you want to play these kind of games, you play on this console, and that's the console that you have to buy. If you have people that are investing in the Microsoft ecosystem because that's where they think they're going to have the best chance to play the games that they want to play, and then only to find out that, after a few years of owning it, Xbox says, well, yeah, actually, we're going to put these games on PlayStation, I would be fucking livid. Because that means that at the end of the day, I could have bought a PlayStation and been playing all of this stuff. This means that I actually technically, and the funny thing is, you want to know why they're mad? They're mad because all of a sudden they actually have choice.
Yeah.
And if things weren't the way they are, we wouldn't be mad about it, because you just had the choice to begin with. And yeah, so I understand being upset, because you were basically led to believe this is the only place you were going to be able to play these kind of games. You got that console, you got into that ecosystem, you invested your money into it, and then all of a sudden they ripped it out from under you and said, yeah, actually, you could have bought a PlayStation and played all of their games and these games that we're going to put out. So yeah, I would be livid. I'd be pissed, because it's money that I wasted, and this is the main reason why I think exclusivity needs to fucking die. At least third party exclusivity. I think that consoles should be allowed to have their own identity, obviously, but outside of that, the problem is that when these companies have the power at any given moment to just buy out our favorite franchises or buy out our favorite studios, fuck, dude, it sucks. It sucks. Imagine how it would feel if tomorrow you hear, Xbox purchases Larian Studios.
How fucking dare you?
No, I'm just saying, like that, but that's what they do. They looked at Bethesda and go, everybody likes Fallout, everybody likes Elder Scrolls. I bet that's going to sell some consoles. We'll buy them.
You want to know why Indiana Jones is, I think 100% going to be a, same with Blade, 100% going to be a multi-platform? The contract that they signed with Disney.
I could see that for sure. I could see the Disney contract coming into play for that. Also, on top of that, the other thing is exactly, I don't know, chat, if you guys could tell me, where would you find a bunch of players that like playing superhero games? What console do they own? Just wondering. Is it Xbox? No, it's not. It's not Xbox.
You're such a condescending asshole.
Fuck them. That's what I have to say.
And back to Risket's comment. I don't know. Like, I'm not entitled enough because I play on PC that I think every game should be on PC. Like I said, I agree that they should have some staples or whatever. I'm glad that Microsoft does put their first party on PC. I wish Sony did. But his argument is that PC just wants all the games.
PlayStation puts theirs. You like the PlayStation?
I wish they would.
Oh yeah. I mean, largely they do, but they just take a really long time to put them on there, right? I mean, Last of Us is on there, God of War is on there, Spider-Man is on there, Final Fantasy VII Remake is on there.
Yeah,
but obviously it took a year, and it was like the DLC version, right?
Yeah, and those other games took 4 to 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With The Last of Us, it took even longer than that. What I'm saying is what he was implying is that PC gamers are selfish and that we want everything for ourselves, and that's why we're okay with exclusivity being gone and Xbox being gone, and that's not the case. Like it just isn't the case. I'm already getting the milk from Microsoft, so why would I buy the cow? You know what I mean? I'm already getting it, so that makes sense, and I can understand where they'd be a little upset about that. But I don't expect every game to come over here, but I'm so sick of like the third party exclusive, like with Final Fantasy. I would so much prefer to play that on my PC. Yeah, just hands down. I just so much would prefer it.
So specifically on that topic, this is what I have to say, and I don't really think anybody can disagree with me on this. Okay. The problem that I have with all of this is that this isn't just about Xbox. This is about all consoles. This is Nintendo. This is PlayStation. This is Xbox. It's all of them. Okay. And when I'm looking at them and people are saying that, this exclusivity is, so important because, this is the reason why, these consoles can keep their identities. This is how you pull the players in. This is how they remain competitive. And, we're not talking about I want these games available on PC. I'm talking about I want them available everywhere. This isn't just a PC thing. But people always want, like, especially when they're trying to defend the life of their console, they're trying to defend it by, oh, well, you just want it for PC. No, it's not about me, dude. It's about everybody. It's having more games available to more players, regardless of wherever they are. That's what the point is. That's the reason why I can't fucking stand it. And the worst part is that this industry has turned into a situation in which many of these companies, even though they have their Mario, even though they have their Kratos or their Last of Us or their Gears of War or their Halo or whatever else, the problem is that those wells run dry. And once that well runs dry, they turn to the market and go, well, we're just going to buy somebody else's well, and then we'll get the gamers to come here for that. And that's what I don't fucking like. Because it no longer, when you're telling me we're getting better games as a result of these exclusives, you're fucking lying, and you're literally just making it up and pulling it out of your ass. Because no, what's actually happening is that because of these exclusives that these companies have, when those wells run dry, as they eventually do because these games get fucking repetitive because they keep trying to tap into the same fucking vein over and over and over again, remaking and rehashing and remastering the same fucking shit over and over again, they go, fuck, we don't have any creativity. We need to go buy a company that does. And then that's all that keeps happening. How has this worked out for many of the franchises of all these key games that are out there, except for Nintendo that somehow keeps tapping into the fountain of youth, except for Pokemon? So like the Mario series has continued to do well. The Zelda series has continued to do well. Has the Last of Us series continued to do the same thing? Kratos and God of War, that's another thing as well. But look, okay, we'll use the excellent example of Xbox. Where's all the fucking innovation at Xbox? Point it out. I'd love to fucking see it. Man, that Halo game really turned out great, didn't it? Redfall turned out great. Starfield turned out great. Gears of War, I guarantee it will not. Even though I love Gears of War, it's one of my favorite franchises of all time. I guarantee that if that game does not evolve with the times, it is not going to sell consoles. It is not going to sell copies. It is not going to do well because people's tastes have evolved over time. And many of these games still just keep trying to run back and tap the same vein over and over and over again. There's no ingenuity. There's no creativity. We're not getting better games as a result of this. Look at fucking Call of Duty.
Here's the problem is they have put out they've newer new IP, and the Xbox players didn't attach themselves to it.
No.
Bleeding Edge is an example of it. You know what game that is? It's from Ninja Theory, made specifically for Xbox. You have no idea what it is, right?
No, I never heard of it.
It was DOA because nobody played it. It's a hack and slash hero shooter. They just didn't make it. Good game, just didn't make it.
Yeah.
So Grounded is another one. Like on Steam and everywhere else, it's doing well. And then it did somewhat okay numbers on Xbox.
Yeah.
But it's one of those games that they should have championed, but they didn't. So, like I said, I don't know. It's super weird. Hey, go big screen mode. I got to be right back.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, personally, when it comes to a lot of this stuff, I'm just genuinely frustrated with a lot of people's takes on it because it doesn't make any sense to me, man. It doesn't make any sense why people would want third-party exclusive games to remain third-party exclusives. I'm tired of not being able to play Final Fantasy games day one. Having to wait. I literally had to buy a PlayStation to play it. And people are going to come back and they're going to say, you didn't have to. You don't have to play games. You can wait. You could be patient. That's not the fucking point of the conversation. The point is like this is the situation that they're causing. And at the end of the day, if we had less exclusivity and we had more choice in consoles that we get to play and get to pick, ultimately what ends up happening is something that for some odd reason nobody wants to talk about. If I have the choice in console and I get to play all the games that I want, then that means that I don't have to buy more than one console, which is true for many households. That's an extra $500 to $700, maybe even $1,000 in savings across that entire time. Guess what else you get to spend that money on?
Games?
More games.
What?
That means game sales go up. That means that peripheral sales go up. That means that we just get to hold on to our fucking money. You know what I mean? We just get to hold on to our fucking money. Yeah. I see somebody mention like FOMO, and to be honest, it's not even like a FOMO situation. I just want to play the fucking game. It's because I like to enjoy things, and I spend money on things that I enjoy. You know what I mean? Guess what I don't enjoy? Buying a fucking console. Yeah. I don't enjoy that. I enjoy playing the game and buying the game. That's it. I enjoy the experience of playing games.
Yeah. So it's like the part of the argument that the Xbox fans are arguing is that, you know, oh, if they do this, it's gonna kill the console and blah blah blah. It's the chicken and the egg, and they're like, you should just let them cook, right? They bought all these studios, let them cook.
Yeah,
they can't invest. With Bethesda and ABK, you're talking $100 billion. Okay, $100 billion. They don't have the time to. It's the chicken and the egg, the horse before the cart, to sit there and wait for all these games to get the consoles to sell more. I mean, remember the last generation, Xbox almost closed down. They almost ended the whole division because they just weren't getting it
Yeah.
done. And they're in the same exact boat on hardware with this one. So they're gonna have to do, like, if they don't go third party with some of their other franchises, I'm not talking their staples, but the other stuff, I'm telling you right now, they will get rid of Xbox. I think they will. I think they'll get rid of the Xbox division and just and be like that poster that they put out with Microsoft Gaming, and they'll just be a software company.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
So I mean,
No.
it's like they've got to do something, because if they don't, like, I don't think it's going to be good for Xbox. Nobody is they're just not competitive in the market when it comes to console sales. They're just not.
No. So ultimately, that's my position. I'm going to actually make a video talking more about this, not really necessarily keeping it down to the Xbox versus, PlayStation, the console wars or anything like that. And yeah, I'm not really going to, get into that whole thing. It's more or less just my position when it comes to exclusives, third-party exclusives and stuff like that, and just people generally wanting games to be available on more places. Yeah. Simple as that. You know what I mean? Just wanting people to have more, there to be more availability. Yeah. So that's really all I had to say on the whole thing. We'll kind of move on and actually talk about some games rather than this console war drama bullshit. But anyway, I just wanted to say, we're up to over 90 viewers at the moment. We only have 17 likes on the YouTube bot. What are you guys doing right now?
Not Chat, clicking. That's for sure.
Chat, you're actually kind of disappointing me right now.
They're not.
Do you want to be disappointing me? Now, with that said, by the way, I just want to let everybody know we do stream both live on YouTube and Twitch at the exact same time. So if you're wondering who the hell we're talking to, sometimes it might be the other platform. And it looks like, because of YouTube, I might start talking to Twitch instead.
Are you saying that there's only one there's more than one platform?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Lord.
So what I would like to talk about now, my friend, is I want to talk about the stuff we're most excited about now, right?
Yeah. I got some quick tidbits. I mean, it's a quick brush over if you want to.
Of what?
Baldur's Gate 3 has got a big update coming.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, next week. They are.
It's like a makeout patch.
Yeah, they're improving the tongue down action.
Yeah.
And camp animation. So maybe your dude won't be just like standing there while everyone else is sleeping like a creeper.
Oh yeah. I remember some of that stuff happening sometimes.
They update to introduce new legendary actions in honor mode, adding more challenge to the game. Which look at your eyes. Yeah, exactly. And then bug fixes.
I have to go back.
Yeah,
I gotta go back.
Bug fixes. But they haven't specified the details on those bug fixes. So I think the new legendary actions is kind of exciting. That's kind of cool that they're adding more stuff to make it a little bit harder. Don't cry. You did it once. You can do it again.
God.
Well, actually, you did it 1.5 times. So you can do it again.
Yeah. We'll see. Depending on how big the changes are to Baldur's Gate 3, maybe I'll go back and do another honor mode run. But we'll speed run. We're not going to be listening to every dialogue. I mean, we'll probably still be listening to every dialogue. Who the fuck am I kidding?
With Karlach, yeah.
With Karlach, yeah. I still want to do a good guy dirge.
You did a good guy dirge. Your dirge was a good guy. We even talked about it. You did good. I mean, I even in my.
You made like your own headcanon dirge. My dirge just kills everybody. I'm talking about like.
I didn't do that. I didn't kill everybody. Just everything that I said to people was dirgy. It wasn't like, I'll help you. Here's some change, begging kid. I didn't do any of that stuff.
No, I just wanted more. I probably would have done more of those if there were more options that were just like completely out of pocket things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot.
Somebody's just like, "Hey, good day, sir," and you're like, "The bodies are under the floor."
You're like, eat it.
No. I just want some like unhinged stuff, like what your character says when they're like walking around. They're blood. Everything is drenched in blood. Like that kind of stuff. Like I want somebody to be like, "Hey, would you like to buy some bread?" And I'm just like, "I'll eat bones. I eat bones. I like eyeballs." Then just like run off like that kind of stuff. that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So what was I gonna say?
I got another little tidbit for you.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight is 9 years old.
Okay.
Right?
I've seen it. I've seen the comparisons.
And it's beating Suicide Squad on Steam concurrent players.
Get wrecked. Get wrecked by your own game.
Get wrecked.
Get wrecked by your own game.
That's the worst. That'd be like right now. You know what? I'm curious if Elder Scrolls is beating Starfield. I wonder if Skyrim is beating Starfield.
Oh, it 100% is. It is 100% is. Yeah, you don't even have to question it. People play modded, so yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So let's talk about the games that we get to look forward to, or we will be looking forward to. At least one of the first ones on the list is the one that we have had the pleasure of playing the demo of, and one I'm probably the most excited for, at least for this month until Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out, and that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Mm-hmm. I saw Jackie already posted at the beginning of the podcast that she can fix Sephiroth. She can fix them.
Everybody wishes they could.
You can't.
No.
You can't.
No. So what are your thoughts? You played it, right?
I did. I played and beat it. It wasn't nearly as long as I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I'm glad that they added in the demo a performance mode, and like it muddies up the depth view, kind of muddies it a little bit, but overall it was pleasing to play that way. I do like the combat in it because I didn't finish Intergrade, right?
Yeah,
all the way through, and for some reason the combat, it's the same, but playing as Sephiroth was dope, dude. It just felt really good.
Yeah,
I mean, it felt really good.
So, I mean, they did a really good job at trying to make him feel like absolutely busted. Because I mean, you got to think about it. Like, it's Sephiroth. It's the, he's a hero. He's also like the bad guy. So, like, yeah, in a lot of ways, he needs to feel like overwhelmingly powerful.
Yeah.
And yes, he did. He felt exactly like that. He felt very overwhelmingly powerful.
Also, Tifa in a cowboy skirt outfit and falling into a river. Thank you, Square Enix. I appreciate it.
Based Square Enix. She's a teenager in that scene. What's wrong with you?
It's a video game.
So yeah, no, I overall, man, I think it's fucking good, dude. It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, I'm actually kind of surprised that it looks how much better it looks than the other one already.
Yeah, there's a fake photoshopped tweet going around Twitter right now of like the PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake and this one where Cloud's face looks kind of wonky and shit, but you can tell it's photoshopped.
Yeah.
This game is even being on a console, it looks really good. It looks really, really good. The one thing I thought was kind of weird though is like, I don't know how much, like, the first part of it really isn't an open world-esque part of it, right? But I still tried to play it like it was, right? I tried to go off the path when like when you're walking to the reactor part, just like at the beginning of it after you leave the town.
Yeah.
And you get weird movement. Like you can you go to sprint and then it just like slow walks off that path, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that largely is because like this is more like a self-contained demo. Like, realize that the actual game, while it is going to have some linear paths, like for the most part, many of the areas are going to be open world.
Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm actually super excited. I already pre-purchased it. I've already pre-bought it. So.
Wow, pre-order Andy here.
Yeah.
Wow, I have never been more disappointed in you in my entire life.
I didn't get the deluxe edition that adds in like extra. Like equipment and shit, because I think that's kind of weird to sell in a single player game. But
yeah, and to be honest, most of that stuff's really only useful at the very beginning of the game. And then it's like garbage,
the first
like immediately after.
Levels.
Yeah.
So
so have you watched the state of play on it? The 10-minute state of play, or however long it was, like 20-minute state of play on it?
I think I did. Yeah, the one that showed on February 6th.
I think so. Yeah.
I think I did.
So, one of the things that really surprises me about this game is like the sheer amount of like mini games that they're gonna have.
Yeah.
Like, it like somebody like equated it like it looks like they're like Final Fantasy Yakuza, because you know Yakuza games are really known for having those kind of like tons and tons of mini games and things like that inside the game, and it really does look like Rebirth is going to be kind of like that. Like there's just so many different things for you to be able to do. When I went through and I looked at the majority of the state of play for the game, I was blown away by at least what I am perceiving as the sheer size of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was wondering before, because remember they made the announcement that this game's going to be like, for the people that are actually going to be buying the hard copy, it's 2 discs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a 2-disc game. So at one point in time, you'll reach a point in the game where you have to put the second disc in.
That is a terrible sweater, by the way. Terrible.
Why you gotta we gotta hate on the guy's drip?
Okay.
He's dripped out. He's got style and you don't.
You know what? He can't grow one of those. So
okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
he can't look like a guy that you wouldn't trust outside of a video store.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. And I think I'm actually going to go back and try to play, because it's like comes out in like 17 days or something like that. So it gives me enough time to go and play a remake to actually finish it. You know
you never finished it?
No, I got past that motorcycle part.
Yep.
I'm talking early in the game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where you're running down, and then we fought that big robot spider thing, and then that was about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have that and DLC to finish.
Yeah.
You have to remember, once you beat it, then there's a part that says intergrade, and then you can take that, and that's another quest to take Yuffie's quest.
Yeah.
And you like give the introduction for Yuffie.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. I think that's only like maybe like 10-15 hours or something like that.
Yeah. So I've got some playing to do. What are your thoughts on Cloud as a character? Let's just talk about video. I just want to talk about video games. That's what we're supposed to be doing anyway. We talk about the industry so much, and we talk about all the drama around stuff. Let's just talk about video games.
I don't know anything about video games.
What are your thoughts on Cloud as a character?
That's a really interesting question.
It is, because I think I have a different opinion than you.
I like Cloud. He's man, I feel like in more than, how do I voice this properly? I think more times than not, RPG characters are very one-dimensional, especially protagonists. Yeah. They don't really have a whole lot of depth. They just have one side, and it's just like, this is your main character. He's, lawful good, lawful evil, whatever whatever they're trying to, kind of game they're trying to make. And that personality kind of sticks with that character all the way through. Cloud is not. Cloud is a character that starts off cold, in dialogue, very, very one-dimensional, very, yes.
Cardboard.
No. Yeah. Milk toast, right? So, and then as the game goes on, he warms up more to the party that he's with. He grows attachments to the people that he's with. You grow attachments to the people that he's with. And the crazy thing I think about the feeling it gives me is that it's kind of similar to our experience as a player playing an RPG, because we don't know these people. We don't know if we like them or not. We don't know if we like these characters or not. We don't even know if we like our own character or not. And then as you go through the story and you meet more people, certain events happen, the narrative gets pushed on, you grow a little bit more attached to the characters around you, and you start to empathize with them, resonate with the story, resonate with your own character a little bit. And the Final Fantasy series, especially right now, the original game did this pretty well too, but I think they're doing a really good job with it with the Rebirth as well, is that it also kind of follows this like natural narrative evolution, not only of the character itself, but of how you perceive the world of the game that you're playing.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I kind of feel the same way. I thought you'd be a little bit different. From what I've played in the demo versus what I played in Remake itself, I didn't like Cloud in Remake at all. Like, he was very like bland. You know what I mean? Like, it was very, I was just like,
no, keep in mind the Cloud that you played as now is the Cloud of days past, right?
Yeah. Before he had PTSD. Like,
which he has good reason to have it.
He does. In all fairness,
he has good reason to have PTSD.
I mean, yeah. Hey, I'm gonna let y'all in a little spoiler alert. His mom didn't make it, so
no,
she didn't make it,
and for the most part, nobody else did.
So it's like I couldn't connect with Cloud, and I think that's the main reason that I stopped playing the game. You know what I mean? Because I just could not connect with them like I wanted to when I'm playing somebody. And after playing this and getting to see his interactions with Sephiroth, even though he's younger, you know what I mean? And even you know, it was like, okay, he does have a brain cell, you know what I mean? So I'm super interested in this game.
Yeah. Did you play the original Final Fantasy VII?
Huh?
Did you play the original Final Fantasy VII?
God, that was but that was like so long ago for me. You gotta remember, I'm in my 40s. You know what I mean? Like, a long time ago.
Yeah, I think the other thing is too, like, because I don't know, it also depends on the story, and widely enough, like I could probably still state everything that I know that happens in like Grandia 2, right?
I can't, and I played that game a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could probably verse that whole game. Yeah. So, but with that said, I think that man, they're just doing such a damn good job with this game. And whether it's the combat or the world building, how they're, progressing the narrative, how the game looks.
Yeah. I think it's the combat personally.
I have a video that I'm planning on doing that I believe that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, remake, whatever you want to call this, reimagining. I think this is probably the direction that Final Fantasy should go for here on out, at least until they want to make another evolution in the future. I think that Final Fantasy 16 was too much of a depart from the norm. Yeah.
I think so. I agree. For what I played of Final, like combat, I'm just gonna go combat to combat. Like, I felt like I was doing damage in this game.
Yeah.
And in 16, it literally felt like I was just swinging a wet sponge.
See, that's
monsters.
That's not where I'm really coming from. Like, I liked Final Fantasy 16. I loved Final Fantasy 16. I loved the story. I loved the music. I loved the combat. I loved everything about it. But I didn't love it as a Final Fantasy game. I just loved it as a game. And
what do you mean?
that
what was it about that game that made it not feel like a Final Fantasy game?
Everything. Nothing. Like, there was nothing, like, outside of familiar characters, and that's about it. Like, not characters, but like familiar monsters, and there's Moogles,
Titans,
there's Moogle, like that's pretty much about it. That's the only thing that really made it like a Final Fantasy game. We're like Final Fantasy tropes, not a game that feels like a Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth feel like a Final Fantasy game. Even though they are a major departure from what the games used to be, it still feels like a Final Fantasy game in and out. Whether that's the use of materia, how the magic system works, how weapons work, how combat works, even just parts of the narrative and how the game's paced and things like that. There's certain things that I don't know. It's really hard to put my finger on exactly, but it feels like a Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy 15 feels more Final Fantasy than Final Fantasy 16 did.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy 15 was kind of a departure as well, though.
Major departure.
I mean,
I feel like 15. I feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are the perfect blend between 15 and 16.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, it's got the okay, that makes sense.
Like you like the combat is somewhat similar, not that much. It's much more it's a little bit more complex. It's much more complex, to be honest. Because like even in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Remake, whatever one you want to pick, Rebirth more, because the combat in Rebirth is way better. It's leagues better than Remake.
Is it? I mean, is that what it is? Because it felt really good. It felt really good.
There are incremental changes in the combat of Final Fantasy VII Remake or Rebirth, sorry, that I like noticed immediately. First one I'll give you guys an example of aerial combat. Aerial combat.
Sephiroth jumped up all the way up there and cut that damn thing down. All the way
up. But I'm talking about just like flying enemies. So a really good example of this is in Remake. You basically just jump up, slash, back to the ground. Jump up, slash, back to the ground. Jump up, slash, back to the ground. You just kind of repeat that. Or you had to use magic or a character that uses ranged abilities. So it made flying enemies really annoying to deal with. In Rebirth, now you can air combo, like full air combo. And that feels really good. You can even dodge in midair too, which is huge. So not only do you have more freedom of movement, but also there's just better combos and things like that you can pull off. Cloud even has the ability to basically kind of extend his combos into ranged like airblade combos where he shoots energy from his sword from distance. I noticed that as well. So there's just much more freedom in the moment-to-moment action combat in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that wasn't there in Remake. And those tweaks, which are obviously inspired by the work they were doing with Final Fantasy 16, I'm sure that they were, those teams probably, talk and work together and stuff like that. That was the thing that needed to happen. The game needed to have a little bit of tweaking to make the action part of the combat feel a little bit better. But keeping the ATB system, how you cast magic, how you can still basically pause in combat to use an almost pseudo turn-based kind of move system for either casting abilities or queuing abilities, because really it's like a queue system. For queuing abilities or queuing magic or queuing your limit breaks and stuff like that, all feels really good, and that stuff still feels very Final Fantasy to me.
Yep.
I
liked how seamless it was on that fight with the materia monster, or what they call him, Maku or whatever.
Maka.
So when it was up on the deal and you had to do the hyper deal with Cloud and Sephiroth together, that it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was pulling myself out of the action to do it. You know what I mean? Like it felt like, did that click? Done.
Yeah. And I also really like what else? I also really am a huge fan of one of the major changes that they've made to the combat in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the dual actions, where certain characters. And I guess I like they talked about this in their update, right? They talked about how you can build bonds by having characters always in your battle group, and those characters will learn to have more abilities to do together, more combo abilities to do together. There's a limit break version that has its own gauge that you can fill up, which I think is, you should have got it with Sephiroth and Cloud.
Yeah, that was the Hyper Xenos or something like that.
Yeah. So there's that, but then there's also, if you actually just hold one of the triggers, there's just a regular one that you can do that doesn't spend any bar.
Yeah. You hold your block and you'll do a basically a cooperative attack. Yeah.
Which that also solves an issue that they had in Remake as well, where it was kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to get characters all to attack one target at the exact same time. Yeah. So this makes it where I can literally just force some of my characters to team up with me on attacking a certain monster.
I'm curious. I imagine that would work if you had all of your like if you had a party of 4 or whatever, that would work. I
think it's only 2 characters at a time. I don't think it works for it. Yeah.
Is it? But it's super handy when you have something stunned and down. And so you can start getting after it.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I just missed this. Debuff Bluff gifted a sub, tier 1 sub. Thank you for the gifted sub, man. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Is the sub money, is that going to be enough to pay for a haircut?
No.
Oh,
no. Sorry.
Okay.
That's not how this works. That goes to rent.
It sucks while it cuts.
Yeah. So yeah, no, like overall the general feel of the game feels really good. And just damn is it so pretty.
Yeah.
Is it so pretty. It is just so damn good looking. Final Fantasy 16 was really good looking too, by the way. So like, I mean, it's kind of a given. Even Final Fantasy 7 Remake looks really good.
I think the Remake and Rebirth look better than 16 in motion. And that was my biggest problem with 16 was the motion of it. It just didn't feel right. And this does. It actually feels good to play it, swing your camera around. So that's the truth. It's the truth about it.
I mean, that's your truth.
I mean, it's the truth.
No, it's your truth. I didn't have any problem with the way that Final Fantasy 16
I didn't
looked.
say you had a problem of it.
I need you to stop. I need you to stop blaspheming.
Okay.
So, yeah, I appreciate that. Now, I'm really looking forward to this, man, and it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge, especially when they started showing off. Like, I think it was in this video that I'm looking at. Like, there's skill trees. There's like dual skill trees that you're gonna have between characters. So they've expanded on their skill tree system. Am I the only one that wants the sphere grid back from Final Fantasy X?
Yes.
Or the junction system from Final Fantasy VIII? Everybody, dude, like only the real ones like the junction system. I'm just gonna say that right now. Only the real ones like the junction.
I like how I can make such a definitive statement, and then I'm the turd head, but then you can, and it's good. It's good. Okay.
That's the dynamic of this channel. I hope you know that.
Got it.
I was trying to find the map thing, but one of the other big changes that they made to this that I'm super excited about. I think it's right here. Yeah. So like this shows like World Intel. So World Intel is like another like sub-series of side quests that you're going to be able to do to be able to discover new materia. Now, in the old, and not old game, but in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you had to basically like identify monsters, and that was the best way for you to be able to, like learn new materia, or to have like Chadley like learn new materia. In this game, it's actually just going to be like side questing and like exploring the map, which is way more fun.
Yeah, which is fun.
Because the other way how you had to do it is you always had to have access or assess materia, which is like how you identify monsters. Yeah. So you would cast that. Yet you always have to have that on a character, and you'd always have to use that skill at the start of battle, and you would hope to God that you didn't forget to identify one specific character at one point in time in the game. Otherwise, you're not just going to be able to unlock whatever that materia is that you were trying to get or whatever. So this is way cooler. This looks way more fun. This is way more intuitive. I'm so sick of games that want to just give us chores rather than give us something dynamic and fun to experience. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to how this all works out.
I just think the game looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and that's
going to be a fucking blast.
And that's like, that's really all I care about anymore is just having fun while playing. Like if I'm sitting there not having a good time, even though it's a good game, even though it's the prettiest game that's been ever, whatever. If I'm not having fun, then it doesn't matter. It just doesn't.
Yeah. The amount of like mini games and stuff that I've seen, like I played. Did you play the piano mini game?
In the demo?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Oh, so you can go into Tifa's house. It makes her mad because she's just like, you went into my house? And Cloud's like, yes. She's like, you went into my room? And he's like, you have the choice to say yes or no, which means go into the room or don't go into the room. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, what the fuck? and then like you can even like go into her drawers.
He's like,
and you hear like I'm pretty sure like you hear her and Aerith at the same time go, you asshole. And then you can go over to her piano and you can find Tifa's theme. And you can sit at the piano and actually play the mini game to play Tifa's theme on the piano. It's fucking hard. It's a rhythm game.
Yeah.
But it's a dual stick rhythm game. So like one note will pop up on one, and you have to like time it perfectly and hit it, and then another note will pop up here. But then sometimes you'll get them like this. Like oh man, it's rough. It's tough. I saw somebody like perfect it all the way through, and I'm like, okay, well that's like a fucking Korean pro streamer or something like that. Like. Fucking
a dance revolution king.
Yeah, like okay, dude. You know what? You can have that. You can have that. I'm just gonna probably screw the shit out of those songs. But yeah,
the songs. Yeah, you are. I enjoyed myself I enjoyed my time with it. Like I had a lot of fun. I think my only complaint was that it was just too short. I just want to play more, and that's not their fault. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, so apparently there is another demo going to be coming out after the release of the game on the 29th.
What the fuck is, I mean, that's good for the people that are unsure whether or not they want to buy the game.
It is.
For somebody like me that's buying the game
regardless.
No.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like I don't think I want to play anymore because I know that we're more than likely going to have to play that part, or unless I hope they do something where like, you know, this is where the story is at, you know, whatever, and then you start off somewhere else in the game. But yeah, I don't want to play anymore because I want to play the game and I just don't want to have to do the same parts over again. So playing that second demo is just not really for me. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think it's cool that they're adding it though. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I think that's sick. I genuinely think it's sick. So yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I saw somebody in chat was like, just call it FFR1 and FFR2, and I'm like, I guess you could. I don't like that. I don't like that either, though. I don't like it. So I'm looking for. I need to stop saying
remake Rebirth.
Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Rebirth. I think it's gonna be an absolute blast. I'm really excited for it. I'm still on the fence of whether or not. Part of me wants to stream it. Part of me just wants to say, screw you guys. I'm gonna just sit back and enjoy myself a game on the couch.
I don't think you should stream it. I think you should just enjoy the game. So.
But that doesn't mean I don't have anything to stream because I can end up streaming. The next game that's going to be on the list is going to be coming out at almost the exact same time, which is
Epoch.
Yeah, Last Epoch.
Yep. Last Epoch. I've got 37 hours in it. I counted. I have 7 different characters. Only one of them is Max. So I've got some room to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, got some room to grow. This game for an ARPG is well, I haven't played PoE 2 yet, so this may change. Don't quote me. But skilling in this game is probably my favorite in any ARPG, hands down. Of just building your character.
Yeah. I don't think I found a better system for it because it has a lot of the freedom that you find in. It has a lot of the freedom of choice that you find in a game like Last
Epoch, yeah,
Path of Exile. It has a lot of freedom that you find in a game like that, but it also has the rigidness that you would want from a game like Diablo, where you just pick a class and then you just go with that class.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, you know, if you want to play as a, you know, wizard, mage, whatever, like that's what you're going to play. That's what you picked. And then you just run that. Yep. You know what I mean? And then, yeah.
Well, then you're altering your skills to stay within that boundary of what your initial character pick is, but you can adjust the skills to play to your play style of what you want to do.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that they actually also have kind of like some really creative archetypes as well. So I noticed that they recently just announced the Falconer, which is basically
that sounds like a movie. That sounds like a movie from the 90s, the Falconer.
Yeah.
I'm the Falconer.
I'm the Beastmaster. Yeah. So I like the direction that they're going in because they're giving a lot of really unique archetypes for classes to be able to play. So like obviously if you want to play as a mage, you could still, you know, I don't think the sorcerer or whatever it's called has a pet build, but the rogue does, and the druid does, and the necromancer obviously does. Or is it necromancer? I think right.
Yeah, necromancer does. Yeah. I don't remember if the Sork does. I don't think they do. Unless they have elemental golems, which I don't know if they do or don't.
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything for that at least. But yeah, so they're prepping for their full release. We've talked about this game on other podcasts in the past, but this is definitely one that I'm really excited for. Apparently, I didn't know this. Did you know that there's a massive graphical overhaul that's also coming with the 1.0 release?
No, I'm happy with that because this game, it does pull off a little Wallace and Gromity at times. With the characters look a little biffed, but the gameplay, like, it's just a fun, good gameplay. So it kind of outranks that's actually kind of awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I was wondering because the thing is that when I was watching some of the gameplay trailers and stuff lately, I'm like, these gameplay trailers are making the game look way better than it actually looks.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize that apparently as a part of their 1.0 release is a massive overhaul to the way the game looks. I didn't know that was a thing.
What if that's going to jank up some stuff?
I'd imagine they've probably been making it might be playable already.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
It's not.
I don't know.
It's not. I downloaded and played it last night.
Oh, okay.
And my paladin is still there's a skill still broken. So it's a cleave skill for my pally, and like I'm geared up and skilled up specifically for this type of build, because that cleave puts a debuff on a group of things. It's for clearing real quick.
Yeah.
And whenever I hit that skill, my player stops and dead stops and can't be moved. Can't move again after that. Can't even attack, can't do anything. So that skill specifically is bugged out. So I'm hoping a lot of that stuff's kind of ironed out before, but I mean, we'll see. I'm wondering with the graphical update if it's going to be a wipe like Baldur's Gate was.
Oh, I have no idea. That's a really good question, though. You got a good point.
Yeah, I think it might be a wipe.
Like it's gonna get rid of old character data and all that.
Yeah,
I'm hoping so. They need to do that anyway because you don't want to have anything carry over in case it might cause some problems for the full launch anyway. Yeah. It's best to just start from a clean slate.
Yeah.
But either way, I think that we've kind of talked about this in the past. And I realized that like Diablo 4 has kind of left a bad taste in people's mouths when it's come to ARPGs. I think like just general audiences, one of the conversations that I was having with somebody recently where it was like I was talking about how I think that Last Epoch is in a really good position in which they might be able to capture some of the some of the audience that Diablo 4 left behind, because it really does fit right in the pocket between both Path of Exile and Diablo 4, because it has this really high skill ceiling. Mm-hmm. But the floor, the skill floor, is also raised up. So the nice thing is that when players come in, they find a somewhat on rails approach to how you build classes. You don't have to look up a guide to build a class. You can just build one your own, and you're probably going to be fine. Yeah, you're going to want to probably hyper optimize your character later in the game. However, they don't really tax you when it comes to respecing your character as much. They don't have any of the wild like. You don't have to buy stash tabs. You can buy stash tabs with in-game gold. You don't buy that with like in-game or like out-of-game currencies. I think the only thing that they plan on doing for their cash shop is like cosmetics, and that's about it. Yeah. So with that said, like they have a really simple approach, especially like their end game is so easy to understand. And obviously that's probably going to get a little bit more convoluted as time goes on and they start their seasonal updates and stuff like that. But with that said, it's really easy to approach. It's easily understood by the players, but it also has this really high skill ceiling that you could see in a game like Path of Exile, where there's a ton of customization, a ton of areas where you can definitely get lost in the weeds, and that doesn't exist in a game like Diablo 4. Diablo 4 is far too simple for any of that. You build your character, you're done. After that, it's just grind to get the points to put into the Paragon board, and then hopefully you find some legendary weapons. GG, that's about it. There's not a whole lot of thinking that goes into it.
Hopefully you get that piece of Uber gear you've been looking for.
Yeah. So I really think that it has an opportunity to capture an audience that people otherwise thought, wouldn't go play this game. There's a belief that's out there that because this game is PC only, that it's not going to be able to pull, super high numbers. And I don't think the game's going to it could. Shit, dude. How many games
they just hit a million sales already in early access.
1 million in early access.
Yep.
So game gets full release. Everybody starts streaming it. Reviews start rolling out about how good it is. You could easily see some of those Steam, especially because people on Steam, PC gamers, are all about trying to support these smaller studios.
Yep, they are.
And those are the games that have been popping off lately when it comes to sales.
What did we buy this game for? Was it $30 bucks, $35, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's still that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're not going to find an ARPG of this quality with the systems that it has in it for that cheap. You're just not. I mean, this
No.
isn't Torchlight. This isn't, you know.
It is unironically a better game than Diablo 4. The only area that it's not a better game than Diablo 4, I would say, is probably in graphics, sound design, music, and like narrative cutscenes.
Yeah.
But core gameplay.
Yeah.
And this is a discussion that we have. This is a discussion that we have all the time on this channel. Is at the same time, like, yeah, you can put all the money you want into the packaging, but if the gameplay itself isn't fun, people aren't going to play the game. And some of these games lately have just been focusing on making sure that it's a really fun, enjoyable game to play. Those end up being the games that end up succeeding and doing the best over time because, well, that's what it really comes down to. We just want to have a good time playing these games. Last Epoch is just a really fucking fun game to play. It's very easy going. It's super easy for you to build your classes. There's a whole lot of depth because you can build skill trees off of actual skills or actual abilities that you use. You know, if you have a chain lightning ability, there's a whole different options that you have within chain lightning to augment chain lightning, but then also at the same time you have the ability to customize your character's class archetype, you know, whatever that is, put skills into that skill tree, which then unlocks subclass skill trees later on into the game once you get the option to use the subclass option. So there's a ton of class customization, there's skill optimization, and then it has arguably the best crafting system in any ARPG.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. I would say it. Man. Yeah. Period. I was gonna say like maybe Division 2 is better, but I don't know.
It's not.
Division 2 is pretty good though.
Yeah, Divisions 2 is pretty good. Is it DM microtransactions?
Darth microtransactions,
yeah,
DM Diablo 4, yeah.
Yeah. So he actually put out a video, I think either yesterday or day before yesterday. So if you are going to be a new person coming into last Epoch, he kind of breaks down how it works. And it's not like an in-depth like this is what you need to do. He just kind of brushes over all the things of why this game is going to do better than Diablo 4. But he even simplified the skill part of it that I never even noticed when I was doing it. Okay, so you have your skill screen and you'll have the main skill.
I'm gonna let you explain this while I feed the cat.
Okay, you've got a main skill in the middle of the screen, right? And then it has basically branches that come off of that skill going left, right. So there's 4 total, 2 up, 2 down. Each one of those branches is basically which you can mix and match how you do it, but like one will be for lightning, one will be for, these are for examples, one will be for crit, one will add fire, one will be void damage or whatever. So you can build that skill specifically to change how that skill works. And when you're trying to reskill, here's what Ian was talking about. What makes it so easy is you're like, hey, I've been playing this build. I don't really like it. I kind of want to start doing this. Literally, all you have to do is put a different skill in, and then start using that skill, and it starts leveling up. Kind of, I guess, kind of the way that Path of Exile does with its sockets, which I just don't like their sockets. That's what bothers me about PoE versus this game is the socket system. Of you have to find a piece of equipment that has the right colored gem sockets, and then you have to put the corresponding ability gem in. That's, it's just weird, but it makes it super fun to be able to build your character and super unique. Game felt too safe. Not sure. Mishra, I'm not even listening to Mishra because they made fun of my mustache, so I don't like it. But yeah, last Epoch. If it gets a graphical update, I think that's probably going to be the tipping point, I guess, for it to be the casual players argument over Diablo 4. So you read, man. I don't think PO2 is coming out this year. I think the beta is in June, but I'm not 100% sure. Mister, you did make fun. You said I look like a mafia boss. I mean, does this look like a mafia boss? You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Okay. So,
sorry.
the one thing that you seem to skip over, friend, was so like the reason why I was talking about the crafting system before is that, you know, when I look at a game like Diablo 4, the itemization in Diablo 4 is just boring.
It is.
There's no unique crafting. You know, like I can't really optimize my gear in really good ways. I can't do really much of anything. It's just you're just hoping for RNG, but most of the stats that are even on weapons and stuff like that are boring to begin with.
Boring, yeah. It's super boring. It's
so
the same drop over and over again.
So they have this system that's called legendary potential, and basically when you find like legendary items that have legendary potential, they can have a score of legendary potential that's anywhere between I think like 1 and 4 or something like that, and what that number means is it's how many skills that you can impose from that item onto another, or vice versa, I think is what it is. It's vice versa.
Yeah.
So if an item has 4 legendary potential, I could take a non-legendary item, a rare or whatever else, and if it has the 4 stats that I'm looking for, I can take those stats and just smash those 2 items together, and now I have this legendary item that has those stats that I was specifically looking for because I found them on another item already. Like, that is so awesome because you could just find an item that you're looking for that has the, you know, that has the skills perfect for your build and just do it that way. Or you can use the crafting system to just pick individual skills and augment those skills, power those skills up a little bit, increase the stats that are on them, or swap those stats out entirely.
Yeah.
You can find equipment in the game that doesn't have any stats on it at all, and you could actually just forge that piece of equipment with the stats that you're looking for. So it's you're not just you're obviously, when you're playing an ARPG, you're a slave to RNG no matter what, right? But this gives you a lot more. This gives you a lot more options in things that you can do and how you can build your character. And it's just it's awesome. It just feels good. It's super intuitive. It's really easy to understand. And once you get into it, you realize how cool the crafting system is. You use it through. That's probably the big thing. You use it throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being like this, like, oh, we'll do crafting at the end of the you use it throughout the entire game, so it makes it feel much better as a result of that.
Well, it makes the loot that you pick up valuable, and that's Diablo's biggest problem. And all ARPGs are it's a looter crawler, right? And so when all of your loot is meaningless, why are you playing the game? Like, what's the loot for you? You have nothing to look forward to. You have nothing to look forward to at all.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the trading system and non-trading system?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, Mr. What are you talking when it gives me extra eyes? You're supposed to say that it just makes me look handsome. Because that's what I think it does. I think my glasses make me look
debonair would be the term, sir.
Yes. It's part of my it's all part of my image to make myself look smarter and sound smarter.
Oh,
because like if I take the glasses off and then I talk about things that make me sound smart, people are gonna be like, this guy's faking it.
No.
You know what I mean?
What's up on the counter that makes Maddie do backflips off of it every 10 minutes?
His food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He goes up there, takes a nib, backflip, back to the door, back up. Okay.
Yeah. Look out the window, make sure there's any predators. Oh, I'm gonna go back eating now.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
that's
cool,
what he does. I have to put it up high because the problem is that if I put it on the ground, then I get ants.
Yeah. That's
So.
true. That's cool.
No ants.
No ants. Anyway, trade system. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, so for the trading system, that's another really unique part of the game as well that I really like. So their idea that they've gone with their trading system is, we've talked about this on, I think a few podcasts ago, maybe.
Yeah, we did.
But I do like the fact that they've separated it and made the either going solo self-found or going into somebody that's going to be like doing a lot of trading. They just made it a meta game. You literally like, and it's not like I don't think other games have really tapped into this kind of thing because there's actually like this, it's not really like a skill tree, but like the more you interact with the either or, if you're doing solo self-found or if you're doing the trading guild, I think is what it's called, merchants guild. If you're doing either one of those, as you're going through it, you're leveling up that rank that you have with them, and you get more perks associated with it. And it gets like busted by the time you're at the end, where there's like in the solo self-found tree, there's like a 30% chance that when a legendary drops, it drops, you know, two different, or it duplicates it. There's another one where there's like a 25 or a 15% chance that if a set piece drops, the entire set drops. Like, it's crazy stuff that you get at the end of it that just make it really fun and really cool. So, like, by the time you get into the end game loop, like, you're just getting loot on loot on loot. And that's all you want from a game like this.
Yeah. I just like that it gives players different options to play the same game. I don't know, like it
different ways to play it.
Yeah, the main reason, like I said, the main thing you're playing with the ARPG for is to build up your character and loot. And now you're going to get to choose different options on. You're not locked into one play style because of, or one loop style, I should say, because of the way the game's built. It actually gives you more options, which I think is super, super cool. Anytime you have options, that's super cool.
Yeah. I don't think that ground loot is necessarily meaningless in Last Epoch, even though you have a lot of... Actually, it's specifically because of the fact that there's so much crafting potential with anything that you can find. So you're always trying to look at just about anything you can get, especially if it has specific stats that you're looking for. Plus, on top of that, like, built-in loot filter, like, built into the game. Like, that's so gorgeous. Like, the amount of, like, I would probably say the biggest strength of a game like Last Epoch is just how much quality of life is pre-built into the game that solves so many problems across both Path of Exile and Diablo 4. Issues that still plague those games that either you have to use third-party tools to fix, or you don't fix at all and they're just there. Yeah. So, and that's really what it comes down to a game like this, especially like you were talking about before with skill trees, because you can literally refund part of your skill tree for your skills, and it just gives you... It's a weird system how it works, because once you've leveled up a skill or any skill in a spot, you're always going to have a bottom line of XP or skill points that you'll get to. So the higher level your character gets, the higher that bottom line is. So we'll say it's 20 skill points if you're like max level, which means that you'll only have to level up the skill for like a little while. And because, you know, things are going to be such high level, you're probably just going to blow out that XP pretty quick. It makes it really easy for you to respec. Largely the biggest, no, it's not even the biggest. It is, without a doubt, the worst part of Path of Exile is how fucking costly it is to respec your characters. Yeah. Because it's largely the reason why new players bounce right off the fucking game, because they get themselves into a position in which they have built a character that can't get into any of the end game content, or maybe it can't even finish the entire campaign, because you could get yourself into a position within the campaign where you just wouldn't be able to afford to do it otherwise. And instead what you'd have to do is run around and try to earn enough currency to be able to get orbs of regret to be able to refund your skill points. And there's people that have tried to defend it in the past. Oh, well, you know, you can just run around and farm it. It's not about whether you can or can't. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's a chore.
But that's how the way the game is. You know, I don't give a fuck how the game is. What are you talking about? You need to be punished. I need to be punished for playing a video game and trying to learn it.
Regret.
Oh, well, you should have followed a POB. You should have followed a guide better. Why? Why can't I just play the fucking game? Oh, well, that, you know, since you didn't build the character right, that just means you're bad at it. Yeah, for many people that are just starting, yes, they are bad. Of course, because they don't understand.
How dare you build a character? How dare those developers give us multiple options to build a character and you built it wrong?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense.
I know, I'm an asshole. What can I say? What can I say?
You say a lot of things. Yeah. So we played some Enshrouded. And
we played a lot.
And I think that we both have some pretty strong opinions on it. Good, bad, and indifferent. So let's talk about our experience with Enshrouded a little bit. So Friday night, we played probably a good 7 hours of Enshrouded, probably. About there, yeah.
We went in, man. We went in, for sure. For sure, we went in.
It was mainly my first experience with it. I mean, I played it a little, like 2 hours.
Your first
like,
foray?
Yeah, my first foray into the game. And yeah, so I like the game, but there's a lot of things I don't like about this game. But the thing is I really enjoy playing it. The combat's fun. I think it's a super cool and unique idea to have a survival game that has a skill tree to build a class. I think that's super, super cool.
Yeah.
And I think what's weird is the stuff that I don't like about the game is it's stuff that is just weird choices of like exploratory things of not being able to mantle. It is weird to me after playing Pal World. I mean, can I blame it on Pal World? Maybe, but I think if like you should be able to climb up a rock if you need to climb up a rock.
Yeah.
You should, it feels weird. And then the way that they do their fog in the map, like there's sometimes until you get your flame built up to where you can go into like the red fog. It's like you have to spend, an hour and a half getting around that red fog to go to the spot where you need to go to just progress your game. So it's just weird choices.
So, I will say, like, I hate that we just immediately start out with why, like, things we don't like.
I'm sorry.
Like, you're such a negative Nancy.
I'm not.
Like, you immediately want to criticize before you ever want to talk about the things you enjoy.
Well, you're supposed to tear them down and then build them up. That's the saying. You tear them down and then build them up. You don't build them up and then tear them down. That makes no sense.
Well, maybe they won't get torn down because they're too strong. Because you built them up too much.
Because you build them up too much.
Yeah.
And then you can't criticize it because you said it was the best game ever made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
I'll try to do better. Sorry.
So I get where you're coming from with like the mantling for sure. Like it does feel a little bit foreign. It feels really weird, especially after playing so many survival games that actually do have the ability for us to do that, or coming from a game like Power World where you can mantle things. It does feel weird, especially given the way that like the environments in this game are made. However, at the same time, the thing is that what they're trying to go for in this game is something that's a little bit unique to survival games, in that they're trying to provide what I imagine is a more linear experience for a survival game.
Okay. That's
because
fair, I guess.
Because many of these survival games are really wrapped around the idea of, all right, you're dropped into a world, figure it out. This game doesn't really have that.
Yeah.
It's there. You can still just go do whatever you want and try to figure it out, right? But at the same time, there's quests. There's a skill tree that pushes your character in a very specific direction, both combat, survival, etc., all that kind of stuff. There's NPCs that build specific kind of gear that give you quests to go do other things. So the game has like a very specific like trajectory that they want you to follow, or at least they give you lines that you can paint inside or color in between, right? But there's not really like a lot of color outside the box kind of stuff that we would normally see from most survival games. The game definitely benefits you more if you're playing it the way that they have intended you to play it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
if you take the intended path, that's probably the better way to say it. Now with that said, is that a good or bad thing? I don't really think I don't think it's a good or bad thing. I think it's just a unique take on a genre that's been, honestly, it's a very oversaturated market for survival games right now. So trying to do something different is going to be, big. Outside of that, so I want to talk about the things that I specifically like about the game as well. But if we're gonna tear them down first, we'll tear them down.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that every system in this game, for the most part, has a good and bad part, like a good and bad part for me. Yep. So I really like building in this game. I think that this is probably the best voxel building like style game I've ever played, like just from the freedom of choice when it comes to like how I build stuff and how that stuff ends up looking when I'm finished with it. There's so much freedom of choice when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the actual feel of building is the worst of any survival game that I've ever played.
Well, you don't like going collecting sticks to make wooden blocks to then be able to make a wooden wall.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
Like
okay.
like cutting down trees to make logs, to take those logs to a crafting bench, to then craft wooden blocks to make wooden, wooden walls. But then, but you want to make a roof? Well, you need to go get plant fiber, and then turn that plant fiber into roof pieces, and then have those roof pieces in your inventory. You have to have all this stuff in your inventory to be able to use it in the first place. Then you can make that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, we have many other survival games that have just a simple wheel system that, as long as you have access to the stuff, it's there. And I do like that they have a global inventory system, as long as you've crafted the magic containers, the storage boxes.
The void chest, yeah.
Yeah, so as long as you make those, then you can access everything. But largely, the way that you interact with their crafting system and their building system is really unintuitive. And even more so, I think that I don't know how I feel about going up to specific traders to craft specific things. I feel like I should just be able to access most of that stuff from the workbench. Like, if you have that NPC in the town, maybe like specific workbenches, I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
Right? I think specific workbenches would be good. I don't see an issue with that. But as it stands, going up to specific characters and going through like their dialogue and stuff to be able to find that, I don't know. I guess the characters function as a workbench, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, it just feels convoluted because of the way that they did it. So when I was talking to Drake about, because he asked me, because he really loves the game, and he is to Enshrouded as you are to Final Fantasy. So if I say something negative about Enshrouded, he's like, "You're dumb."
Yeah.
Right.
You're just bad at the game.
You just suck.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, did you get like? So I was complaining about, hey, I've got to do this, then to do that, and he was like, well, what did you just make the void chest? Why did you just make the void chest, and then you don't have to worry about that? Why do I have to make a specific type of chest to be able to do a function like that? It makes no sense for me to go cut down wood, then have to go make a block out of it, have it in my inventory to then make flooring. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I think it, like, I 100% get where you're coming from, because it's rather unintuitive. It's extra busy work for not a whole lot. Like, once you get to the point where you can build that chest, that's the only chest that you're going to build. The other chests become useless at that point. So it's like, It's also just like many of these games already have. Here's the thing: look at a game like Power World. Power World, you can make wooden chests, and you can make the bigger chest. You can make the bigger chest. So it's just like, the bigger. But the difference with Power World is that the first chest you make has the ability to build from anywhere within your base, right? Yep. So yeah, I do wish that. I'm hoping that they're going to do a revamp when it comes to building specifically. Like, it's just really fucking annoying how I have to, when I'm trying to build stuff. Just in general, I'd rather just have the materials in my base or in my camp, and then I just pull up a wheel, and then that's the way that I interact with building things. Yeah. With that said, the other thing is that I fucking hate this game's stamina system. I hate it. I hate it so much. And it's not because I hate stamina systems, which, I mean, I actually do hate stamina systems. But with that said, when I'm talking about a game like this, I don't like that stamina is required for every fucking thing I do. If I want to use a grappling hook, if I want to cut down, I mean, obviously cut down a tree is one thing, but if I want to use a grappling hook, if I want to climb a ladder, if I want to climb, whatever the metal grating on a wall or something like that, that stuff is super annoying to me, because the thing is that it's just like, oh, hold on, let me stand here and wait as it slowly recharges. And I realize I can eat food and stuff like that helps me to recharge that faster, but obviously that's very limited at the beginning of the game. So it just doesn't feel good. Like, and that's for me when it comes to these games and what I want from these games. Largely, when I look at them, it's feel, and it doesn't feel good to stand there and watch this dial fill back up with stamina before I can climb a ladder in front of me. I think, and the funny thing is that, like, in most games, ladders don't cost stamina. You recharge stamina on a ladder because it doesn't require a lot of stamina to use a ladder in the first place. Ladders are built for you to be able to just stand there and rest on if you need to. But you can't do that in this game. If you're running and then all of a sudden there's a... Like, I do not understand stamina needing to be required to use the fucking grappling hook. Like, that is one of the things that I'm so surprised that they get into this game and its early access release, because it's the worst feeling thing in the world for you to be running. There's a thing for you to be able to grapple hook, and you go to grapple hook on it, and then you run out of stamina as you've grapple hooked, so that you just fall straight to the ground and die. Like, it's just like, bro, come on, man.
Your grapple hook takes half your stamina. One grapple takes half your stamina. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
I mean, I get it with the hang glider. You know what I mean? I get it. Yeah, I mean,
hang glider makes sense.
If you didn't, you'd be able to soar forever, right? So I get that. But a grappling hook, it doesn't make any sense to take half your stamina to go 10 feet. No. It just doesn't.
No. The grapple hook specifically, if they just, honestly, I'll tell you this. If they just removed the stamina consumption of the grapple hook entirely, the game would immediately feel far better than it already does.
Yeah.
Far better.
Which is it's so weird, is because there's not really that many grappling opportunities in the first place, right? It's literally only in like the ancient vaults, and you'll run across it maybe, a couple times in the open world, to get up on something. But for the most part, it's not like it's a majorly used deal. It's not like the grapple gun in Pal World where you can use it on everything, right? So it's super weird. It's super weird that they chose to do that. It is.
Yeah. So outside of that, though, for the most part, everything else feels really good.
Mm-hmm. It does.
I actually do like the way that the game feels like relatively snappy. Like, movement feels snappy. Yep. The game is gorgeous. I love the art style.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like the weapon variety that I've already seen drop so far. That was me. I remember that part. I was so mad. I climbed up to the top of that ladder and got ganked. I was so flipping mad. Oh, I just peeked my head up, ganked. Anyway, I like the item variety on the weaponry that you can pick up. I think that's pretty cool. I like the fact that you can just use the broken down parts that you get from other equipment that you're not going to use to upgrade those weapons.
Yep.
Each weapon has its own, obviously, how many times you can upgrade it and what the variety of what the upgrades are going to be. The game's fun. The combat's super fun. The best combat in any survival game I've ever played by far. Best.
Yeah, I think, and you can definitely tell that that's the main direction that they wanted to go in with this game, right? Like, their objective with this game was trying to make something that was more of a combat focused, like class progression focused survival game.
Yeah.
And they accomplished that because the class progression and the combat feels really good. I will say, after, playing with, honestly, like, I think this is with any game, but specifically with survival games, like, ranged it's just a way to play. Like, if you play ranged in these games, you're so busted.
Yeah, you are. And I'm actually, so you're going a wizard build.
Yeah.
OBS, right? I'm actually doing something. I am doing a tank barbarian build, and I'm actually enjoying the shit out of it. Like, I've got it to where now, because I played, like I said, after we played, I played Saturday for probably 8 hours or so.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some gear to where I basically just regen, and I throw up like a magic shield around me whenever I'm surrounded, and I am kind of busted already.
You have magic shield.
Yeah, so I have an ability that whenever I'm surrounded by 2 or more enemies, you'll see like the shield thing pop up, so you see that it actually triggers. It's not actually magic, but I take 20% less damage.
Oh, okay. Shit, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so I am.
Oh, so you've been playing since we played.
Yeah. This is actually one of the coolest things that I like about this game, that I have a problem with any server-based games, is that my character can actually hop servers. I'm not.
Yeah.
That character's not bound to a server, which is super awesome.
Yeah, which is really nice because that means that like I can just hop over to you, or you can come hop over to my world. We can go our separate ways. The only thing that I don't like is that like there's like a proximity on skill points and shit. So if I cut down a route and you're not there, you don't get it. So
that route's still there for me to cut down
later. I think it probably refreshes maybe.
Yeah.
So
it is.
I think actually all that stuff refreshes like when you come back into the game anyway. So I can always go cut down those routes again and try to like farm skill points maybe or something. I don't know.
They don't.
No.
Okay. The ones that I cut down in your world with you, they are already cut down in mine.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So there's cross progression, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good then. Yeah. So I think the co-op part of the game feels incredible. And
it's really good.
I feel like largely when it comes to these survival games, that's probably the most overlooked aspect. And some of the more, except for probably, I think Rust is probably the best one when it comes to that. Because it's which I gotta play that at one point. Like I've only ever like watched videos and like read
Let's do it.
Read articles and stuff on it. Well, it's like Rust is like full loot PvP.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I want to check that out at some point in time.
Let's wait till I'm off of nights, and we'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta wait. We got a ways to go. There's a ton of other games to play between then. So that might be a spring summer game or something.
And that's
I don't know.
about the time I'll be off nights. So.
So yeah, no, I think overall the multiplayer aspect of the game is really cool, especially because you can actually create a dynamic between like normal party members.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you literally, if we had another person or another two other people, because I think was a 4-player.
Yeah, I believe so.
So
I think you can have more than that in a party or in a server.
Oh, okay. Well, still, I mean, you could have a group of 4. You could have a healer, a tank, a and a two DPS.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could do like a Holy Trinity style, classic, party, which is really cool.
One quality of life thing I hope that they do add would be to teleport to a person. That would be nice if I could teleport to you. You know what I mean? We kind of found the poor man's cheat of just dropping down another flamestone or I can't remember what they're called specifically, but
you can only drop down a couple.
Yeah, you can drop it down and then pick it back up, right?
Yeah, you just drop it down and pick it back up. Yep. Drop it down, break it down, and then move on to the next place. Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be kind of cool if they did have a teleport to player, because like I said, the traversal in this game is not very easy to get to some stuff. So,
which I mean, I realize that they make it that way specifically to try to funnel you towards objectives, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yes, to funnel you towards objectives. I think my biggest beef with it is their marking system is not great. And the reason I say it's not great, like you place a marker to follow on the map. You'll get somewhere and it'll be like location above you. Okay, so you go up so you follow up there to go up there, and there's like locations below you. Okay, so you go back down. Like, or you'll do a marker and it won't say anything. It'll just be, the meter tick off, and you get up there and then it says it's below you. Like it to me, it's like a time waste. It's like with that first place, you're like, oh yeah, I've already done this. It's down here. And it's showing that it's between these 2 stairs up in the air, nowhere. And it says above you. And
I guess some of the hints are a little bit convoluted. But outside of that, I think, I think my only issue, if I'm say like traversal, like I don't really have a problem with how you get around the map, to be honest, other than the stamina issue. Gliding and stuff like that, I don't have any problem with. Directions, I don't really have much of a problem with. The only thing that I really do have an issue with when it comes to like the map is actually the map itself is really hard to read.
Yeah.
Like it's difficult for me to be able to see like how I want to get to a certain place. Like I realize it's showing like topography. It's showing that like, oh, hey, this is higher and this is lower. But it's still kind of difficult to read. And sometimes when I'm like, oh, I want to go to this quest, I'm like, dude, I just cannot find the way to get there. And more times than not, I have to kind of do what I would call like, the old school Skyrim traversal way of kind of like bugging myself up the side of a mountain using my glider to, get to a high point to jump off to just glide towards whatever my objective is. Yep. Which I mean, it is what it is. If that's the way.
Even with the red fog, if you zoom into it on the map, some of the red fog will have a clearing, like a small narrow clear path to get through it. and unless you zoom in on it, you wouldn't see that.
Yeah, so like there's that too, and then also there's also this thing as well where like sometimes with the illumination, like it makes it where well, no, where like the blue fog or red fog looks like blue fog.
Yeah,
and you can get them confused. A really good example of this is when they have like the like lava lakes. They're not actually lava. It's like weird pulsing.
It's just
whatever
like,
corruption.
Red death.
Red death corruption. But it could be a blue area, a blue shroud, but it has that underneath it, so it actually looks like it's a red area that you can't go through. And I used Mark as a
you son of a bitch. It's so funny. All right, so I'm gonna set this up. So we're on top of this cliff, right? And I'm like, oh look, there's a route down there. I was like, I think we can get to it because you see it like it's just like a blue fog around it, and then there's red fog around that blue fog. And he's like, oh yeah, I bet we can. So I'm like, all right, cool. I just fly down, there, and then the next thing I hear is like, did you make it? I was like, you son of a bitch. He literally waited for me to do it. That son of a bitch just stayed up there.
Yeah, I just waited. I was like, yeah, you're. I'm like, you think it's good? And he's like, yeah, we should be able to land there. And I'm like, all right, go ahead, man. I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and go. And he goes, and he jumps first. He jumps first, and I just like stood there and waited. And I'm like, is it good? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, all right, cool. And you're like, you son of a bitch. Yeah, that was good. That was funny. There's always got to be a guinea pig.
I enjoy the game, but after playing for about the same amount of time that I played with you, I enjoy it more playing with somebody than I do by myself.
Yes, that was the other thing that I was gonna say too.
It's not near as fun.
Largely, I felt that like Pal World, it feels fine playing it solo.
Yeah.
This game feels decent playing solo. I'm not gonna say it's not. I'm not gonna say it's not fun playing it solo. It's fun playing solo. But this game really shines when you play a multiplayer.
Yeah.
It really shines. It takes it to a completely different level that I wasn't really expecting of enjoyment that I was expecting, especially just because of class dynamics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of fun. Especially because it's like, oh, I'm going to go in, I'm going to tank. There's been times where I healed you and stuff off in the background. Just trying to keep you up, top you off, and then also
I would block the beetles, sit there and just keep blocking them while you just took them off. Fucking beetles are the worst.
So, eventually I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to have to do an actual review or talk about that game at some point. It's doing really well on Steam.
Yeah, it is.
It's sold really well. It's staying healthy. People are having a good time. People are really enjoying it. So that's really good to see. But yeah, had a really good time with it.
Yeah, I think we
had a really
good
good time with it
Friday. So
yeah. If you're home and available, let's do that.
I will be. No, every Friday night while I'm on nights, I don't have to go in. So I work Sunday night. I work Sunday night through Thursday night.
Cool. Well, ladies and gents, this is not going to go as long as we normally do. So this is the part of the show where if you guys have any questions for us, you guys can ask them. You can ask them now. Go ahead and put in the chat at Legendary Drops if you guys have anything you want us to talk about or any questions you guys have for us. And we'll get on towards wrapping this whole thing up.
What do you think about Yves from Ubisoft, the head man at Ubisoft, saying that Skull and Bones is worth its $70 price tag because it's a quadruple A game?
Bro, that's some of the goofiest shit that I've ever seen. It's so stupid. It's just so dumb. It's just literally just CEOs just talking out of their ass, doing whatever they can to try to make it where people are going to buy their games.
Yeah,
that's all it is. They're like, oh, you don't understand. This is like, I'm sorry, you guys can't just go and waste fucking millions of dollars and then also like delay the game like what 6 or 7 times and then like because of all that money you spend, call it a fucking quadruple A game. Quadruple A, my nuts, dude. You guys are out of your fucking mind. You guys are out of your mind.
No, we haven't played Helldivers 2. I'm personally kind of waiting for all the bugs to get worked out of it on PC because it's got quite a bit of crashing issues. So,
yeah, I've seen some kind of like mixed reviews on PC so far, so I'm just waiting for it to take care of that. I have so many other things to be playing right now that I like. Don't get me wrong, like Helldivers 2 looks sick. It looks like a lot of fun, but it also looks like a multiplayer game. And currently, the person that I'm playing multiplayer with, I can't play games with. Because he's on night shift.
Yeah.
So And my other friends aren't playing it either. So it's one of those games where like, yeah, it looks fun. It looks like something I would get into, but probably not something that I would want to play alone.
Yeah.
Will says, how long was the talk about Final Fantasy VII and Sephiroth? I got here, y'all talked about the grappling stamina for a while. That was at the very beginning of the show.
It was a good 25-30 minutes.
We talked about Final Fantasy VII for quite a while. Yeah. Well, that wasn't at the beginning. At the beginning, we talked about Xbox. Yeah. It's after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we talked about it for quite a while.
Yeah.
About
the hour mark.
I mean, you can rewind after the show's over anyway, or just watch the VOD. The VOD's posted automatically, so you guys can watch it anytime you want.
Yeah. Sephiroth's my daddy.
Would you like to see terrain deformation in games like Diablo?
What do you mean?
If you fireball someone and burn the building down. I mean, yeah, I mean, that would be kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean,
it would definitely have to be a single player game for it to work, but yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, like having more like destructible objects and stuff like that in games like that. But largely, when it comes to a game like Diablo, I'd rather them just make the game fun first.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if they did that.
Yeah. At Legendary Drops, if your fans were worms, would you still love us? You are worms.
Yeah, he's a bird. He likes worms. So
you are beneath me, minions.
Do you think we will finally get to play Zack in a more consistent or principal character / main character manner in the third part?
Oh, in the third part. You're talking about in whatever comes after Rebirth.
Yeah, so they haven't announced it, and we'll carry on with this, but they haven't announced what the actual title is, but they did say that there was going to be air travel with Sid in the third part.
Hell yeah, baby. So, airships. See, remember I was talking about how there's things that are just Final Fantasy, and that's why, you know, Final Fantasy VII feels very Final Fantasy. Well, you know what one of those things is? A fucking airship. You want to know what Final Fantasy 16 didn't have?
Airships.
Well, it did, but it was just a base that you sat at. There was nothing actually. It never flew. It was like a destroyed airship from like days long past. But yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if that's kind of the path that they'll go, because I'm getting the overwhelming feeling that part 3 of this Final Fantasy VII saga is going to be wildly different than what people are imagining it being. I think that this very much is a reimagining, or it's not a retelling of a story. This is a new version of a new universe within the realm of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there is multiverse theory that's a part of Final Fantasy VII, the original game. There are multiple timelines. And it's important to kind of keep that in mind. And that's, you know, largely what this game is. So what kind of direction they go from here, I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see.
What's your opinion on Stellar Blade controversy? I don't know what the controversy is.
I didn't see that one. It's on Twitch.
Yeah, it's on Twitch.
It was on Twitch. Stellar Blade controversy. So the Stellar Blade controversy is that woman hot, not realistic. Gamers, nerds that don't know what women look like, and that's the reason why these men are, you know, coding these women to look like that in video games.
Is that the controversy? They're just talking
that is the controversy
about how thick she is.
Yeah.
I have no problem. I have no problem with it.
The worst part is that it's literally just some like it's literally just some dumb like it's Xbox fanboy controversy. They're trying to take out the ponies. Look at this Stellar Blade. It's you know, the character looks like a child when actually the character is literally a 1-to-1 of, I believe, a Korean supermodel that was scanned into the game.
So when are we moving to Korea?
Yeah. So it's stupid. It genuinely is just something stupid. It's stuff that we hear all the fucking time. It's not a real controversy. And to be honest, the people that complain about this kind of stuff aren't even people that play video games to begin with. I'll be honest. The people that complain about how characters look in video games are the ones that don't even play games to begin with. Yeah. They see a hot character in a game. They rage about it online. They don't even play that fucking game. And 9 times out of 10, the big changes that companies like Blizzard and folks like that are making to their games to make their characters look more realistic or align with social norms is mostly appealing to people that don't even play their games in the first place. It's so fucking stupid. It's so ass backwards. It's so backwards.
There's a first time chat in on Twitch. Legend348 ask, this is about Enshrouded. Is the server transfers official servers or also private servers? I don't know if it's versus official servers or private servers. I just know from my private server to his private server, it worked. So I don't know if it's private to official.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. This isn't a question, but I have a hard time believing what will the game of the year, definitely either Palworld or Final Fantasy VII, both got their flaws, making it to number 1. It is far too early for us to even have the discussion on what is going to be game of the year, especially when you're not even adding in Dragon's Dogma into that.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks into February.
Yeah, as well as Black Myth Wukong that's right around the corner as well. There's a bunch of games that still have to come out this year. So who knows? I would probably say, though, to be honest, just because of when we're talking about like just favoritism when it comes to like games journalism and the Game Awards, it probably will be Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, it will.
Unless Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out the door and just clotheslines the industry, which is what I'm hoping because I need it for content. I'm gonna be honest. I need it for content.
All right, we've got another one from Twitch. What's your opinion on the oh, never mind. It just showed up on Twitch. That's what's weird. It showed up on the stream that I'm watching here for you, but it just not showed up on Twitch. Whatever.
Oh, weirdo.
Whatever.
What else do you guys have for questions?
Yes, Tuxter. Korean women are amazing. It is confirmed.
Korean women confirmed. Blizzard, the hottest fruit bowls in the industry. You know what's really funny? Never tell Blizzard that Heroes of the Storm exists. Never tell Blizzard that Heroes of the Storm exists. If you guys could see Whitemane and like her costumes in Heroes of the Storm, I still play Heroes of the Storm. I fucking love Heroes of the Storm. Like, there's characters in that game that still are like chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. If Blizzard knew that game still existed, it would be a problem. It's probably not if Blizzard knew. Luckily, Twitter doesn't know that game exists. I think that's largely what it kind of comes down to.
You know what? It's super interesting. Tucker brought this up about Palworld being at the Game Awards.
What is it
called? Dude, think about this. Do you think Jeff Keighley is going to put Palworld at the Game Awards? I don't think so. Not at all.
No,
I don't think no. I think he's hoping that it dies before then.
Wait, hold on. Hopes what dies?
Palworld.
No.
He doesn't want that.
No. You guys are kidding yourselves if you think Palworld will be in the running for Game of the Year. There's no way.
I don't think it's going to be in the running for anything.
No, maybe they'll bring it. Well, no, because keep in mind they advertised it during both of the last Game of the Year shows, or what the fuck is it called? Game Awards. Both the last Game Awards they have shown it off. So it's not. Yeah.
Exactly. He is not going to jeopardize his relationship with Nintendo. Not at all.
Well, there's that for sure. It'll probably go up for like indie or something. But there's no way they'll put it up for the regular Game of the Year. You don't realize. I brought this up in my video, and I had people that were trying to like yell at me. They were upset with my take on this. That Pokemon is such a big and fucking influential brand that people just don't want to piss it off because they're going to lose money.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to lose money.
They're going to lose money.
Lose a lot of money. What killer game mechanics would you like to see in future hack and slash games?
killer game mechanics.
Hack and slash. What would you actually what would you classify as a hack and slash?
Dark Souls would be a hack and slash. I would consider a hack and slash. Anything third party melee. Neo is a hack and slash. Yeah.
You know what I think is a hack and slash? I don't know. I didn't really have anything to bring with that. I was gonna say I'm like, the funny thing is when I think about hack and slash, I think about hack and slash RPGs, and it makes me immediately think of like Diablo or something like that.
Really? Like ARPGs? I don't consider ARPGs to be hack and slash. I mean,
I think because remember, like Tuxter's also the one that brought up earlier, would you like to see destructible like buildings in Diablo? So I think when he's saying hack and slash, I believe they're saying like ARPGs.
All right, Tucker, are you meaning ARPGs or are you meaning traditional hack and slashes? Like
at Legendary Drops, with how much you love Terraria, have you ever heard or tried Starbound?
We did.
Yes. Yeah, it's just not as good. I don't know. Like I liked it. It was
hit the same.
It just don't hit the same. There's just something about it that just doesn't hit the same. I don't know what it is. I honestly can't even really put my finger on it because like they are really similar games. I think that part of it's like kind of like the camera. But yeah. See? What did I fucking tell you?
Dude.
What did I know the
See,
people.
I
know the people.
Well, I'm old. When you say hack and slash, I think of games like Nightmare Creatures. Fuck. You know what I mean?
Hack and slash is Dungeon Crawler. Thank you guys.
It's not. You guys need to Google some shit. God damn it. Dude, did you see that? You see that behind me? That pin that bounced off my desk and went behind my couch. That was awesome.
And
that was awesome.
The problem is you're too old to get it from behind the couch.
I'll move. I'll have my son move the couch. Okay.
Oh man. I'm half Korean, by the way, so I guess I'm jailbait. Well, there we go.
Pictures or didn't count.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Anyway, so a new mechanic in ARPGs, like Diablo specifically, the mechanic that I would like them to add would be fun. That would be great. Mechanic, I think. I don't think that's a new mechanic, but it would be a great mechanic for that game. But yeah, that's about it for Diablo. I to be honest with you, I mean, there's not really. I don't think there's a whole lot of creativity that they could do. I think maybe, I guess, more unique classes other than Necromancer, Druid, but you know what I mean? Something cool and different would be nice.
I would say so. I definitely agree with you on classes. You know what I really like to see?
What's that?
I would like to see more games adopt boss fights similar to Lost Ark.
Oh shit, yeah.
I would like to see more ARPGs, more hack and slash, more Diablo-like games adopt more things, more boss fights like Lost Ark.
Yeah. Lost Ark has some
Say what you will about Lost Ark. That game's boss fights are fucking S tier. Yeah. They are so good. They are so good. I remember the first time when we were playing on the Russian version, we fought that one that Balrog that like climbed that tower with the waterfall in it. We had to fight it on. That was so cool. Oh, it was so cool. Where's my Lost Ark? You probably don't love Lost Ark, but you know, I mean.
No, I was sitting there thinking just from playing Grand Blue, those boss fights.
Yeah, similar.
They have mechanics that I actually have to pay attention to.
Yeah, similar. Talk about an absolute disappointment, man. I really wish I could play Lost Ark. I love the way the game looks. There's something about the way those Koreans make games, man.
Yeah.
There's something about it that it gets me, that I fucking love it. And I also really like the fact that like there's so many more Korean studios that are getting involved lately with making games. Like they're getting a much larger market share lately. Mm-hmm. And I love to see it. That's like Stellar Blade's one of those games.
Yeah. Lost
Ark was one. There's another game I can't think of off the top of my head.
There's a shooter that's coming out. There's a shooter that looked really super cool that's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, third-person shooter. Looked pretty dope.
There's a lot of stuff that I genuinely really like about the stuff, but The boss fights are about the only reason I kept playing, but the bots, man, yeah, that's, I was literally just about to say that, Stretch. Like, talk about one of my biggest disappointments in gaming is, like, I played the Russian version of Lost Ark.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. You know what the funny thing is?
Smidgy.
So the funny thing is, when you look at a game like Lost Ark, when you don't understand the language, you don't even know what the store is. You don't know what the currencies are in the store. You don't even know what that stuff's even for. And when you don't know what that stuff is for, the game was fine. I had a blast with it. I played it until I had everything, until I basically did all my lockouts and all my cooldowns are finished. And I was like, okay, I'll come back and play more of it next week, or I'll play another character or something. It wasn't until you find out what all that currency actually is and what it's actually for that all of a sudden the game is ruined. So when it actually came global, I was like, man, this fucking sucks, dude. This sucks. But outside of that, like, it's just such a damn fun game. It's just it's a really pretty, fun game, and I love how, like, I love how the combat feels, how the class design is, how the characters look, how the women look. I just love the game, man. I love it, but I haven't played it. I haven't played it since probably, I don't know, maybe probably like the first month of its release. Just because it's just one of those things, because it's just like, yeah, I just can't do the microtransaction shit, guys. I can't do it. I wish I could. I wish I was one of those people, because maybe I would like it. Probably not, actually. I probably just feel dirty for it. Really dirty. Yeah. What else you guys got? You guys got any other questions? Come on, I'm sure you guys got something here. Go ahead. We got we got a little extra time. Not much, but a little extra.
We got time. We can roll it.
Game looks nice, plays nice, but it's way too time consuming. It's not even like the time consuming thing. Like MMOs by their nature are time consuming, right? Yeah. So like that's not even really what the problem is. It's just how heavy it leans into. Well, if you don't want it to be time consuming, you could spend like $500 a week to make it not time consuming. It's like, fuck, guys, like this just sucks for game design. Imagine if Lost Ark was a game where you just paid a monthly sub and it didn't have any of those fucking mechanics. Tell me that Lost Ark wouldn't pop off.
Yeah.
Tell me it wouldn't pop off. Scuzzle with the $5 says, gaming is the sober man's way to dopamine injections, and figuring out how and what games does it talk. We talk about them.
And does it?
I'm having a hard time reading that. I don't know why. My brain short-circuited. Figuring out what and how games do is why we talk about. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, I get you. Yeah, no, I mean, I think part of one of the reasons why I love talking about games in the first place is literally trying to, like, understand why I like them so much, why I enjoy them so much, and try to do a better job of being able to recognize those things more often and pick those games out in the future. You know what I mean? Like, be able to see it. I largely believe, and you guys might think I'm fucking crazy for this, I largely believe that Dragon's Dogma 2 will be 100,000% worth every dollar I spend on it. Yeah. I don't think that there's anything in that game that's going to make me go, man, I wish I didn't spend this money.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a game that's going to deliver on everything that I want. And I largely believe that that's because of how critically that I've been looking at games over the last few years. And I think I'm getting better at being able to predict whether a game is a flop or whether a game is something that's going to succeed. Yeah. And it's really easy to start seeing those the more we talk about games. Personally, like, I find it's just way easier for me to be able to see this kind of stuff. You see a game like fucking Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and you're like, bro, come on.
Yeah, you can just, like, if you play games long enough, and then, like, when we started this podcast, we've always for years have been talking about games same way that we are now, and you just know what you like. You know what I mean? Like, you know what you're like. You like, okay, that game's probably going to be for me. That game's going to be pretty good. I'll even play some mid-tier games that, you know, some people don't like, but I know that I'm going to like it, so I'll go ahead and play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. games are the dopamine. It's my escape. I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I play video games.
You drink?
No, I don't.
Ever?
No, I'll have I'll have a beer once.
Mistra. Why do you choose violence? Why are you like this? Ian loves Redfall. I do. I do. When you go on Steam and you guys see that there's 36 players, know that I'm 36.
I had to actually petition to get Ian to not talk about Redfall, how much he loved it on the podcast. I got so sick of hearing it off the air.
Yeah. He told me that I would scare off my own viewers if I start talking about how I think Redfall is actually a good game, and that the industry just doesn't. You guys just don't understand what art looks like.
It's actually your fault. It's actually a consumer's fault of why Redfall was bad.
Do you guys have any idea how good that game would be right now if you guys would just play it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Why don't you guys just blindly?
You know how sick Jackie is of hearing about how good Redfall is. She's had it up to here.
I know. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's my fault. I made it bad. You did. At least you recognized that. God, you know what? The first step is acceptance.
It's knowing you have a problem.
The first step is acceptance. So yeah. It's actually Baldur's Gate 3's fault for raising everybody's expectations. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think there's something really to that, though. Like, I do think, like, in general, many people probably have much higher expectations for games moving forward, and they're comparing games more often.
Well, I just think as a community of hobbyists, I think with where the economy's at, with everything at, like, we have to, like, we want to spend our money in the best way possible, and we can't afford to have just crap games. You just can't. You can't afford to have something come out like a Redfall, and it just. I mean, that game has $100 version. Redfall has $100 version of that game. It's insane.
Still?
Yeah, I think it's still.
Jesus.
It's like the season pass of some sort. I mean, whatever. I don't even think they did the season for it yet. So.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that I'm just really interested to see that, like, you know, typically when we see games come out and do really well and players resonate with them, you usually end up seeing like a reaction in the industry so far as like games that are made in the future. And I'm wondering like what effect a game like Baldur's Gate 3 is going to have.
Yeah,
if any. I'm wondering if the AAA industry is flexible enough to respond to a game like Baldur's Gate 3. You can't expect an immediate response, right? Because the games that they're putting out are games that they have been developing for 5-6 years. Yeah, anywhere from 5 to 7 years. So you can't expect an immediate response. But it's whether or not that they can adapt to, you know, the player standards of a game like that, or whether they just think that we're just going to go back to. Many people are just going to go back to wanting, you know, or just not even caring about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. And what's weird, to tie in what we talked about with the Xbox stuff earlier in the podcast, a lot of people blame poor sales on the public's opinion of it on Twitter, or, you know, haters, or they're hating, or the media biasness, or this and that. Good games sell. It doesn't matter what platform they're on. Good games sell. They just do. If you make a good game, it's going to sell,
bro.
That's just where we're at,
guys. Right now, if I go to Steam charts, you know what's fucking crazy about Baldur's Gate?
Still in the top 5.
Baldur's Gate 3 is still its 24-hour peak is 186,000 players playing it concurrently on Steam. 186,000 people are still playing concurrently on Steam.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a good game.
It's been over 6 months.
Yep.
It's been over 6 months since its release, and it's still holding that hard. And it's mostly, it's largely a single player game. It's still in the top 5 concurrent games with concurrent players on Steam. That is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It has more concurrent players than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
On Steam.
Yeah.
More than PUBG, more than Grand Theft Auto 5, Apex Legends, Team Fortress, and Rust.
Yeah.
The only games that are beating it in concurrent player numbers is Counter-Strike, Palworld, and Dota. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that's just Steam. That's not even counting what people are doing on console right now. You know what I mean? That are playing it on console.
Yeah, we're not even talking about the people that are playing it on console. Exactly.
So it's good games sell. Like if you make good games, you're gonna sell consoles and you're gonna sell copies of games. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So make good games and then we won't be having this conversation. You know what I found out today? Actually yesterday. Oklahoma has one of the lowest
Stretchosaurus. Thank you for becoming a member of Legendary Drops. Welcome to the epic tier, my friend. I wish I want to get like an animation made where like a sword just like drops out of the screen and it's just like bing with like the the purple like
can we not use that intro thing that we have in a smaller GIF for it?
I don't know. I'll figure that out.
That
doesn't really work.
Or maybe the chest popping up.
I don't know.
So anyway, I found out Oklahoma is one of the states with the lowest minimum wages, and we pay the most in grocery tax in the country. So we have the lowest wage, minimum wage, and the highest grocery tax in the country. And so that's when I say like our money has to go a long way. We can't afford for Red Falls. We can't afford for just gunky games like that. And so I think if the industry continues to go that way with not having, we don't have 50 Baldur's Gates to pick. We've only got 1 to 2. We've got Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3. Those have been the last 2 masterpiece games in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like masterpiece games.
Yeah.
And so we don't have a whole lot of those. So we have to, that's where I'm hoping like the AA and indies, like Last Epic is I would say it's a AA game, to be honest with you. It's a smaller game development, and it's a lower price, and it's going to be a good quality game. So like we're going to need more of those.
It's not even like a AA. Like it's literally just a bunch of fucking
it's
dudes
just
that
an
met on
game.
Reddit.
Yeah,
it's a bunch of dudes that met on Reddit and were like, "Hey, we like Diablo 2 and Path of Exile. Let's make a game together." Yeah, I know where you're coming from. It's one of those things where I guess what I'm kind of hoping is that, especially when you see a game like Baldur's Gate 3 come out and it makes such huge waves as it did.
Yeah.
Like, I just hope that it gives people pause. That's all. Pause. Just wait. I think far too often people are just a little bit too impatient when it comes to purchasing things or purchasing games, because we want to enjoy the games. We want to have a good time with it. And I think we get kind of swept up in the hype behind things sometimes. And obviously, I mean, that's part of social media. That's part of content creation, YouTube channels. Fuck, I make hype videos all the time. Dragon's Dogma 2. Fuck, if you didn't watch all my Dragon's Dogma 2 videos and go, I want to buy Dragon's Dogma 2, then I'm not doing my job, right? But largely, the only games that you're ever going to see me making videos like that for are games that I genuinely do believe wholeheartedly that I've taken quite a lot of pause and looked at thoroughly before making the decision to say, this is a game that I think I want to support. And it's I think more of us need to do that. That's kind of the idea, like the videos and stuff that I make in the first place, just trying to give people that opportunity to pause and kind of think about stuff from that kind of perspective.
Well, it's so hard as gamers, and I like, it's hard for me to say what other people are doing, because it's so easy to just put yourself as like the way that you are obviously is the way everybody else is, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, I got into this really bad habit, and I still do it. I will buy a game, like, oh, it's the next game coming out. Let me tap my arm real quick. You know what I mean? I've got to get the next game. I've got to get the next game. I've got to get what's new. Instead of, just enjoying what I have if I haven't already beaten it, right? So I think we just need to finish our meals. You can't have your pudding without eating your meat, right? So we just need to hold off, finish playing the good game that you have, and then move on to the next one, and choose wisely as you go through, instead of just picking up what's next in the media of what's the to get game, the blockbuster popcorn movie games. So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm hoping that we're gonna end up seeing some type of major shift in the industry at one point, but I think it's gonna be slower than anything else. I think it's gonna be kind of like a slow downfall for a lot of the AAA titles, because I just be honest, man. I just don't think that they're hitting the mark.
No.
I just think largely AAA is not delivering. Outside of Nintendo, I think Nintendo's like the only one that's remained relatively consistent.
I mean,
Tears of the Kingdom was really good. Breath of the Wild before it was really good. Super Mario Wonder is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not games for everybody, but they are games for most. And from that perspective, they do really well. They've let the Pokemon franchise somehow, wallow in the depths of hell, but they still sell
because it hasn't had competition though.
Yeah, but it has had competition. Yeah. It hasn't had anything to highlight how bad the quality of the game is, because it doesn't have a lot of games to be able to compare it to.
Yeah.
But with that said, I mean, they still sold fucking 23 million copies a piece for both the last versions of Pokemon, right? So like, they're selling fucking gangbusters. They're making all kinds of money over there. So,
what's going on with Persona 3 price? They're saying the Persona 3 is $120.
That might widely depend on wherever they're from.
Okay.
Yeah, keep that in mind. Sometimes, like, we have a lot of like Aussies and stuff that are coming out. They're like, man, that game's $150, and I'm like, oh, fucker, it's 70. They're like, not where I'm from. I'm like, oh well, yeah, no shit. There you go, New Zealand. What did I say?
New Zealand dollars.
I fucking called that.
Kiwi
I called
dollars.
that. I'm dialed in, baby. I'm dialed in.
But still, $120. Well, he's saying Enshrouded's $40 there.
Yeah. So the thing is that some games are like adjusted.
Okay. Yeah.
Depending on where they're released, some companies choose to adjust their prices. In other places, not so much.
Gotcha.
In other places, not so much. That's largely like, I think Steam puts it on the other. I don't know if Steam recently made a change on that. I think Steam leaves it to the developers to make the adjustment themselves, rather than it being the expectation that Steam, sets it. Yeah, regional prices. Yeah. $70 is too much for an incomplete remake. And it doesn't have the scope of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, if you look at it, like, as much as I like, Sony kind of pisses me off to an extent. So you have The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2. Those are two games, and there are a total. I think it's somewhere around 8 between the two of them. There's 8 versions of those games total, coming from the PS3 for The Last of Us 1 to the PS4 to the PS5 to the remake to the PC version. They Skyrim the shit out of that specific brand or that specific IP. So they literally only made 2 games, and they've sold it to us 8 times. And most of those times, granted, some of it's only $20 and this and that. I get it, but you're still buying the same game, exact same game for a $20 gatekeep to be able to play it on the newest hardware, which is kind of.
That's why I always thought it. That's why I always thought it was really funny when a lot of people are talking about like how when it comes to who was it that I saw that was talking shit? Oh, it was the people over at fucking Naughty Dog that were talking about. They talked about. They talked about not Diablo. They talked about Baldur's Gate 3 before, and then they also talked about Power World. And it's like, yeah, of course you guys are sitting around scratching your fucking nuts, wondering what the fuck's going on when games like this are popping off, when all you guys have done is just remade or remastered the same fucking game over and over and over again. Now they're like, oh, we might have a teaser for some stuff, some artwork behind The Last of Us 3. Yeah, what else do you guys fucking make? Do you guys make anything else? Oh, Uncharted.
They used to. The Uncharted's done. They finished. They're not making it anymore.
Okay, so now they're just continuing to make the other game a million times instead.
Yeah.
Like, fucking make something else, guys. Like, holy fucking shit. What is this?
Yeah.
That's the problem especially when I hear them start, because like over there at Naughty Dog, they were the ones complaining about like originality of Pal World, and I'm like, originality? I'm like, you guys haven't had an original thought in fucking a decade.
Yeah. I look at it too is like when people are upset that Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't going to have a PC port on launch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because 2K does a really good job of double dipping people. So I imagine, because they have no idea when Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out. I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out close. I wouldn't say right at the end, but close to the end of this generation cycle of consoles. That way they can get you on this console, and then they're going to get you on, like they did with the 360 and PS3. That's when Grand Theft Auto came out, on the 360. You know that, right? Okay. Yeah. They're going to get you on the next console, and then they're going to have a console port for the PC, and then they're going to have a remastered version for the console again. So they're going to try to triple dip people. So
yeah. Well, hey guys, guess what? This is. But here's the thing, man. This is like what I was talking about before when I was talking about exclusivity. Like, this is what exclusivity gives people. Because you got to think about it. Think about it from the perspective of somebody that plays Sony games, somebody that owns a PlayStation. Maybe they don't interact with the Xbox ecosystem, or they don't own a Switch. Like, you're limited to whatever's in that ecosystem of games that you can play. So you have your multi-plat stuff, and then you have your first-party titles. And since you're limited to just those two things, then you end up getting dipped on, where you're like, well, yeah, I guess I'm going to play the remastered fucking Last of Us again, or whatever, something like that. You know what I mean? They just keep rolling out a lot of this stuff. It's largely also the reason why, again, you look at a game like Pokemon, right? $23 million for two different copies of games that are literally the exact same, and the only thing that's different is a few of the monsters that you can find in the sleeve of the game. Like, it's just like, bro, the amount of like hoodwinking that's going on from some of these game companies is just fucking insane, man. They are milking, and the best part, you know, one of the things that I heard those guys say in that podcast clip that you sent me was they were talking about how what I don't understand is, where do they get this perspective that Xbox is somehow holding them honest, keeping them honest, and that if Xbox wasn't around, that Nintendo and Sony would rake the industry over the coals?
I don't know. Like, it's weird. It's weird. It's just like saying, okay, because when Sega got out of the market, Nintendo, Microsoft, and PlayStation, they didn't have any competition. You know, it doesn't make sense. They completely.
I don't remember them. Like, I don't remember when, because Xbox wasn't even in the playground yet when Sega left, right?
That's right. Xbox came out right after. No, they were in the playground because they were 2001, and I think they stopped the Dreamcast in 2003 or something like that. Okay, somewhere around that ballpark.
So I guess my question is that, like, so then why didn't we see a massive price hike at that point? Did they price hike after fucking, I don't know, like Atari left the industry, after Sega left the industry? I don't think so.
Yeah. So I mean, what like the console centric podcast, what they discredit is the PC market just in general, and they like the PC market's going to keep that honest. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't, because the PC market, I can already buy some of my games cheaper.
Yes.
So it's going to keep the console market honest, and then people will be pushed. I mean, you can't already have the power narrative like you do with the PC. You have the power narrative, and then say, okay, well, these games are actually going to be cheaper over here, so you just keep buying this $500 to $600 console, and then I'm going to start charging you more for games. People they're not going to do that. They'll just move over to the smarter version. So the PC market will keep them in check.
Well, that was that, and largely the other thing is that, like, Steam keeps them in check.
Yeah,
people don't really realize, like, that's one of the reasons why people love playing games on PC and love playing on, like, our buddy Fonz just got his first PC. He finally got a taste of what it's like to play on PC.
Yeah.
He gets on Steam and he's like, bro, these games are so cheap. There's so many games. There's companies that are giving away games for free. I can go on Epic, and Epic is giving away this one game for free this month and another game for free this month, and and all that. And it's like, yeah, dude, like that's the nice thing when it comes to something like Steam, where yeah, these consoles still charged what, $70 for Baldur's Gate 3, but on Steam it was still $60.
Yeah.
So like there's a price gap in that, and Steam largely keeps these people honest when it comes to these kind of prices. I will say that I do think Steam is definitely a player in that. Xbox, no, I don't think Xbox does.
No,
I don't see exactly how it does, unless they're trying to position and say because of Game Pass, but that's not true, because what they're doing with Game Pass is just paying for exclusivity, or at least streaming exclusivity more than anything else, right?
Well, it's not even, which is so weird. I think
it comes. You know what it is? Like I think it might be like kind of an infectious, like a patriotism. What is it called when you only want to buy stuff from your own country?
Nationalist.
Yeah, like I feel like it's almost kind of like a nationalist infection that kind of I don't want to make it sound like it's super negative, because it's definitely not like completely negative, but this idea that Xbox is the idea, like at least from when I was listening to them, what it made it sound like is Xbox is defending us against these, Japanese companies that would just rake us over the coals, and they don't treat their customers good over there. They don't treat their fans well. And I'm like, when has Xbox or Nintendo or Sony not treated their fans? I don't even what the fuck are you even talking about?
Yeah.
It's really weird arguments that you get into with Xbox, but thank you.
And what's super weird I think it's an Australian dude. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but the thing is that like at the same time, I do feel like people do romanticize America in some way. You know?
No,
what I mean?
they do. Okay, so me being born in the 70s and growing up as a kid in the 80s, there was a big push for made in the USA. That was like a big deal in the 80s. Like people wouldn't buy. This is before we had trade agreements with China where we were getting cheap Chinese goods. And they were just about to start getting the cheaper Chinese goods. And then all these mom and pop shops, because that's what mostly it was. We didn't have all these big brick and mortar places. It was mom and pop shops. They would only sell made in America stuff, right? Because it was this big push. And I think that sentiment has carried over into the console market part of it, just like for just the breeding ground of it. Like I remember my dad brought home a hammer, and it said made in America, made in the USA, and he was happy about having that hammer that said made in the USA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean it's just weird.
So yeah, and we've seen stuff like that before too, but yeah, not a fan of Americans. Sorry guys. What are you talking about? You're a fan of me.
Booted. Am
I just not viewed like as an American by people? I think that might be what it is. I have so many people that are like there's so many like 60 or more percent of my audience is not from the US. So it's like maybe they just go like, this guy is the most non-American American. I love him for it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. Yeah, I don't know, man. I saw somebody bring it up as well. They're talking about Pizzuko. PC market goes not far behind the console market, all three consoles combined. It makes sense how many people playing on PC versus consoles versus how much money platforms generate. But the thing is that I think there's a common misconception people have that they think that consoles dominate the market. And I don't really think that that's the case. I think that like every household has a PC. Yeah. Not every household has a gaming console.
Yeah. And
right
where consoles win versus PC back when, I'm going to say last generation and probably the generation before that, was games. Right? PC's just now starting to get starting to be where it's getting all the big titles on release date.
Yeah.
So your bigger games were just PC exclusive games. You know what I mean? So that they weren't spending as much on software as much as the consoles were.
Yeah.
But now I think that pendulum's starting to level out. Because we're able to buy the only PC centric games, plus we're able to buy those console games on PC. So that pendulum's gonna start tipping more towards PC.
So it's more of a meme on the general population of America. Yeah, I get you.
It's the
believe me,
mustache, I know.
Believe me, I'm not a huge fan of the meme of the country for the most part either. But I also see people bringing up mobile, and I realize that like people want to point out like how big that is. But the thing is like I feel like when we talk about mobile gaming and we try to bring mobile gaming into the conversation, it loses its meaning because we don't interact with mobile games the same that we do with PC or console games. It's just a completely different experience. We're not looking for the same kind of fulfillment from playing mobile games. Like, yeah, mobile games make a whole lot of money, but mobile games are fucking time wasters. Like while you're out in public doing things that you don't want to do, whether you're like waiting in line, there's not like a shitload of people that are just sitting at home playing mobile games. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there are some people that are sitting on the couch playing fucking Bejeweled and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I remember playing like Wordle with friends and things like that. But outside of that, like it's not the same kind of experience. Will that change? It very well could. I could easily see phones becoming the new handheld over the next few years. Yeah. But still,
it is in the Asian markets. It is their preferred platform in Asian markets. It is. They have way more mobile games than we do.
Yeah, but their mobile game experience is still not the same. It's those games are like the availability of some of those games are still over. But I get what you're saying. Like it's a completely different market segment. It's a completely different, like it's a cross audience, but it's not the same audience.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like a game like Spider-Man 2 doesn't necessarily appeal to the same people that are playing mobile phone games. Baldur's Gate 3 definitely does not fucking appeal to the people that are playing Candy Crush, to the people that are playing. Like I'm not saying that people that play Candy Crush or gacha games wouldn't play Baldur's Gate 3, but the vast majority of that audience are not the same kind of people. And plus, on top of that, the thing is you have to realize that the mobile game market, while it does include regular gamers, there is a shitload of not what we would actually classify as gamers playing games in the mobile market. Otherwise, King would not make as much money as it does.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, as simple as that. I'm not interested in playing Bejeweled or Candy Crush or games like that. I played them once before, back when I was like bored at work, working a sales job or something like that. But outside of that, like that's not the kind of stuff that I would ever play. That I'm never interested. You know who is interested in that? Fucking bored ass moms at a soccer practice.
Yeah.
Grandma sitting on a couch. That's who's playing that kind of stuff. It's not the same kind of market. It's not the same kind of players. And while there are, I think that in a lot of cases, a lot of these studios are kind of chasing the dragons that they see that appear in the mobile market. And they're trying to mirror some of the monetization because they're like, oh, well, it works there. But the audience is just so different. And I think eventually it's going to kind of cause like a bit of a backlash, a whiplash of sorts, because we're already kind of starting to see it. We're seeing live service exhaustion.
Yeah, we are. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it on the console market side, and you're seeing it on the PC market side. Just people are just tired of playing Warzone. They're tired of playing Fortnite. You're just growing out of it. You know what I mean? So it's just people are just tired of it.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know. I think there's going to be a bit of a whiplash with that effect and actually we're already seeing it. I think Suicide Squad is like just one of the first. I think Suicide Squad is just like the first example of a symptom that's going to pop up. Where I think a lot of these companies that are investing a lot of money into trying to make a live service game, that are trying to chase live service dollars, are going to realize like, oh, well, this market is one, far too fucking oversaturated.
Yep.
And two, players are just exhausted of this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And when you see a game like Baldur's Gate 3, if I'm not mistaken, Baldur's Gate 3 actually sold just as much as Diablo 4 did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did.
I'm pretty sure it did. And which one has the better reputation?
Which one has people still playing it?
Which one still has people playing it? Also, who do you think players are more likely to buy from next time?
Yeah.
People are already clamoring, what's the next game? What's Larian's next game? When is Larian's next game? Will it be Baldur's Gate 4? Will it be Divinity Original Sin 3? Is it KOTOR? Is it what?
Dude,
you know, like
it was KOTOR. I'd be so hard right now. Like you have no idea.
So yeah, I mean, like, the hopes is that there's some type of correction where a lot of these companies are just like, you know what, man, maybe we need to do that.
I don't think it is. I mean, I brought it up on the last podcast. They did a survey. I can't remember what company sent out the survey, but they sent it out to 560 something developers, and 90% of them were working on gas games.
No, that's what I'm talking about. The reaction's gonna come later because the symptoms are already there.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is like the gaming industry is so rigid because it takes so long to develop games that if you're trying to predict the trend and you're like, well, we need to, like, oh man, all these games as a service are popping off. All of these live service games are going crazy. We need to make a live service game. Right? You say that 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Consumer opinions, consumer tastes change a lot over the course of 6 years.
Yeah,
that's you're over. That's half a decade. You know what I mean? You're approaching new generations entering into the market, new tastes and things like that. I think that a lot of that stuff is really going to come. I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting. You can play Fortnite on mobile, Genshin, Honkai, Persona 5 X will be launched on a mobile platform. You can even get Alien Isolation on iOS. And yeah, I'm not saying that you can't play games, but are you trying to tell me that it's the exact same experience as playing on a console or playing on a PC? It's not. It's widely different. It's a completely different experience. You're not engaged. You're not enveloped. You're not immersed into the game. There's a completely different way that we interact with games on different platforms, and it's not the same kind of experience, and you're just not going to get it.
It's not, and that's where this might be a little bit of a hot take. Where Nintendo succeeds is that the games that they have on their console play well in a handheld mode. Does that make sense? Like the game types, they just play well in a handheld mode instead of being docked. For instance, my son bought a Steam Deck, and he's like, "Hey, try it out." And I was playing a game that I also have in my Steam library, and I would literally almost instantly, I would rather just give him that and just play it on my computer. Even though it feels nice and all that stuff, I just rather play it on my computer because the experience of holding it and doing it, it didn't feel as good. Looking at, the smaller screen and all that kind of stuff. It's just
I largely think docking, like having a docking station.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The fuck are you watching, dude? Oh my god. I think largely having the ability to dock and play on the and play on your either your computer or on your TV is huge.
It is.
And personally, I think that I'm really surprised that Steam hasn't come out one with a docking station for the Steam Deck. They could immediately make themselves a pretty large. They've
got it. From what I understand, I think there is a cable that you can buy. It's a dongle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well then never mind. I guess I'm wrong. Shit.
Insanity Pepper docking ... What does that even mean? Are you talking about boats? What are we talking about right now?
Oh my god.
Like the pier? What are we doing?
Oh my god. I'm gonna dock your dongle.
I'm gonna dock your dongle on my Steam Deck.
you wanna dual dongles?
I choose you, dongle. Yeah, so so it has that Steam, you know what? I think did we talk about this on the podcast last week, or was this off air? No, it was when we were playing Enshrouded.
Yeah, we were off air.
Steam, you were talking about if Xbox does go out of the market of making consoles, the next company in line that could possibly fill that void would be Steam. I think you'd be right.
I would like for people to try to disagree with this. The biggest and baddest and fucking big dickest market play to have is that if Xbox exits the marketplace from consoles, if Steam walks in, and I realize, yes, they made the Steam box and stuff like that, but now they've got their shit figured out with the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is widely loved. People fucking get it. You walk in with an ecosystem like Steam, and you drop a fucking like a legitimate Steam Deck docking station, immediate competitor to Nintendo with that many games. The biggest problem when new consoles come into a market is they have to build a library first. They have to build a brand first. Steam already has it. They have the biggest library of games accessible to anyone. And then you would also have the ability to not only use it on your TV or on a regular console style. They could even make a console if they wanted to. They don't even need to do anything else. Yeah. They don't have to do anything else. They don't need to make a docking station for the fucking for the portable version or anything like that. They can literally just say, fuck it. We'll make an actual, bootleg PC because that's what people like to make. And bam, plug it into the TV. And then on top of that, when those people, and think about how fucking beautiful that is. Like if down the road you actually want to build a PC, that entire library is then easily translated straight over to that PC, right?
It's not only that so Steam tried it ish earlier, but the problem is they weren't exactly into the hardware manufacturing, so they let so there was like too many options. There was an Alienware version, there was
that's right, it was Alienware. No wonder they failed.
I mean, and I think it was like $700. I mean, it wasn't cheap. And there was like multiple other discount boxes, but now that Steam has cut its teeth on its manufacturing with its VR headset, the Steam Deck, I think God, man, I'm telling you, I think that could be spooks.
Dude, they're like, I'm not even kidding you. Like they could, if Steam walked in with a premium console and just like, they would literally be just dropping their dick on the fucking table because they automatically walk in with a VR headset, immediate competitors to Sony in that case, because their headset is widely one of the ones that people enjoy more than the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the industry. Yes.
And they already have a mobile console, so they're already a direct competitor to Nintendo and the Switch, right? And then you come in with a console,
and then they have games, so they're in direct competition. They already beat Microsoft, so
they beat all of them. They beat all of them. I'm wondering if maybe the only reason why they don't want to get into that is specifically because they don't want to lose the the timed exclusivity that they get from Sony. They don't get it from Nintendo. They would just lose it from Sony, right? Because Sony just wouldn't put their games on Steam anymore.
No, I think they still would. I think so Sony they don't want to do day and date on PC. They want to do a year later so that they can Last of Us 2 remake us as much as possible. So which is smart on their part.
I'm not saying I'm okay. Like I get when folks want to get like, Christ. I have never said I don't want Xbox to be a competitor. I don't want Xbox to leave the industry. This conversation was never about that in the first place. No. The minute that we start saying anything happens to Xbox, people get super defensive about it. I get it. I was
saying if,
but we're saying if it ever happened that Xbox did leave the market, it would leave a gap for another console to come in, and if that was the case, then if Valve walked in with their own OS and with their own console, they would fucking crush it. And they'd be a even bigger competitor, even stronger competitor than Xbox ever has been or ever could be.
Yeah, it has nothing to do. It honestly has nothing to do with Xbox. It was just, well, I mean, okay, just what if PlayStation stopped making consoles?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
There's a gap.
Yeah. If PlayStation, if any of them exit the market for any reason, it leaves a gap, and that's like one of the things when I was talking to other people about this, where I was like, people are getting in their feelings about it because they just imagine that if for some odd reason, if Xbox did leave the ecosystem, they did leave the console market, that nobody would ever come in. Mark, there would never be another console ever again. Nobody would make one. That would be it. It would just be Nintendo and Sony reigning upon us like evil overlords. And it's like, no, like there's going to be a gap in the market, and then that gap will get filled. This happens in every market. Like it breathes in and it breathes out. It's just how this things work. It expands and contracts.
FTW makes a great point. Okay. And I'll tell you why. He said PS would probably give their PC titles to Epic or something instead of Steam.
That's exactly what they would do.
You know why they would do that? Because they own stock in Epic. So yes,
That's true
they would.
too. Yeah,
And
that's true too.
And Epic takes a smaller cut than Steam does.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good. That's a good one.
Yeah. It's not just Xbox fanboys. I think right now it's just it's all fanboys. If this conversation or if this whole thing was happening to PlayStation, the PlayStation fans would be the exact same way about this right now. It's not like they'd be like, yeah, it's okay if our console goes away. They wouldn't want to hear people talking about it at all.
Yeah, I mean, if this was Steam right now, I'd be upset. If Steam was going away, I'd be upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
of course. I be like, fuck, I gotta go. I have to use.
Yeah, I gotta go buy a stupid console. I gotta go to GOG.
Hey, GOG's not bad, but not that bad.
You gotta go to Epic's game store.
Epic.
I mean, it doesn't make me happy that Final Fantasy Rebirth is on PlayStation. It doesn't make me happy at all. Like, that's the worst part of that game, is that it's solely on PlayStation.
Remember when PlayStation fanboys were seething? Yeah, dude, that shit is so fucking weird. So weird. You want to talk about?
Don't. Oh my God, she picked the worst
Origin launcher.
Ubisoft's Connect is even worse than Origin. It is. Oh,
that is
bad.
true. That is true. Yeah. I remember us having to try to play Division 2. That shit is fucking janked as fuck.
Fucking jank.
What do you think the root problem? What do you think is the root problem of Xbox?
Bad games.
That's literally it. They don't have good games. Their first party titles are horrible.
Yep, they suck.
Like Starfield is not going to sell consoles. It's not going to drive interest. Halo has been a fucking a nothing. It's a big nothing burger in the industry and has been for a long time, basically since Bungie left. The only thing that they really have to the only things that they really have going for them are Gears of War, which came out on the Xbox One. Like if I'm like looking at like the last great games they came out with.
360.
Gears of War
was 360. Yeah, original.
No, like the last. No, I'm talking about the last. Great, Gears 5.
Gears 5. Yeah.
Gears 5. I'm talking about the last great games that they've had.
Yeah.
The last great games that I can point to for them is Hi-Fi Rush, right? Which that's not going to sell consoles. It's a fun, cool game, but it's not going to move. It's not going to sell boxes.
It's not going to move the needle. No.
Not going to move the needle. Forza. Also not going to move the needle. Flight Simulator. Not going to move the needle. I loved Grounded, but Xbox didn't respond to Grounded. The Xbox community didn't respond to Grounded at all. Yeah. So yeah, no. And then
what really hurt them was the marketing for the Xbox One, and for 10 years they only came out with 4 new IP in 10 years.
Yeah.
That's you can't do that.
There should be no exclusives in the industry, period. But what makes no sense is that we're happy about Xbox might be losing exclusivity while Sony. And here's the thing, it's
no.
So then we should just keep exclusivity, right? Because that makes everybody happy, or it helps out. It doesn't help anybody. That's the problem. Is that there's no such thing. I hate when people bring up the idea of like necessary evils. Oh, it's necessary. No, it's not fucking necessary. It's not necessary for gamers to be cucked into buying specific consoles because it keeps them somehow arbitrarily more competitive than the others. No, it doesn't. It does not fucking help anything. There's like simple as that.
Well, I mean, and we talked about this at the beginning of the show, though. Yeah. We do believe, both of us agree wholeheartedly, that consoles should have their brand staples. That are exclusive to their brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
But doesn't mean like I just said about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I am upset that it is locked on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be locked on the PlayStation.
And the problem is that the current iteration of how exclusivity lives in the marketplace right now is that it fucking forces these companies to go and look outside of themselves to create new IPs. They go, you know what? We don't have enough originality within because 343 can't make a good Halo game because Gears of War is not going to be enough to be able to push consoles by itself, and we need to do something, so we're going to go buy Bethesda. We're going to go buy ABK. We're going to go buy these other companies so that we can hopefully get exclusivity that's going to drive people to our console. It becomes this absolutely toxic shit fest for consumers, and we're the only ones getting fucked. I don't give a... Do you know what? Fuck it. I don't care if Xbox gets fucked. Get fucked. Why should I give a shit that you've bought all of these third-party studios to call them first party and you've only shoveled out garbage? How is that my fucking problem? Get fucked. I hope you sell no consoles. I hope you go out of fucking business. I hope the same thing happens to Sony, and I hope the same thing happens to Nintendo. Fuck them all.
Oh, I'm larding over here. That hurts. Yeah, about that. I mean, like, about that. It's third-party exclusivity bothers the fuck out of me. It just does. It's so stupid. Phil Spencer, during the Xbox One generation, said he would no longer do third-party exclusivity. Do you remember that? That's why he stopped buying timed exclusivity or third-party exclusivity, like with Call of Duty. That's when Call of Duty kind of switched over to PlayStation, and PlayStation kind of took over. Yeah. But then, like I said, if you listen to everything that Phil Spencer has said since he took over, has geared up to where they are at this point right now, which is...
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like, I realize like it's a shock for the Xbox community, and there's probably some lies that are mixed in with a lot of the shit that's going on for them. But at the same time, the thing is that like they've been talking about this. This is what they want. They want to go third party. Yeah. They want their games to be available everywhere. And I think largely what they are trying to do is they are trying to be the first ones to take the first step into the future of what the market is going to be, which is here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're still going to continue to have exclusivity. It's going to exist, but it's going to exist on streaming services or on game services as a platform to be able to buy them on their own individual stores. Hardware eventually will die. It will. Like, guys, we live in 2024, okay? If you guys don't believe that you're going to be able to just play games just by turning on your fucking TV and not having to have a box underneath it, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm sorry. Like, look how fast the internet is today. Look at these fucking insanely complex devices we walk around with like they're absolutely fucking nothing, when only, it really isn't that long ago in human evolution we were using fucking sticks to kill monsters.
Yeah. It's like they're already talking about Xbox's next console, like in 2026, something like that. They're already in development or whatever. The funny thing is Xbox
I said monsters. I mean, I guess we thought they were monsters. Yeah, animals.
Xbox has had their last gen console made.
I'm gonna pause. Let me pause you one quick. I'm not gonna let you guys try to debate me on this just because you say that the infrastructure isn't in place yet. We probably didn't think that we could access every piece of information we'd ever want to know fucking 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Okay? I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow.
As someone who lived 30 years ago,
I'm saying that they are positioning themselves for the future.
Yeah, when you didn't know something, you just fucking didn't know. Like, you'd ask somebody a question, they're like, I don't know. They're like, well, fuck it. And then you go on about your business. You didn't have Google to look it up.
Yeah.
So, anyway, no, Xbox already has their future console, and it's called Game Pass.
Yeah.
And that console can be put on any piece of hardware. So that's what they are going for.
Yeah.
Period.
And here's the other thing too, man.
And have you played NVIDIA Shield?
It's like, people forget this, but these game consoles, these companies, they don't give a shit what your local fucking infrastructure is. You know whose local infrastructure they give a shit is? Los Angeles, New York, major cities on the coastline in the U.S., major cities in areas of other countries, because that's where the majority of their customers are that can afford to buy their equipment in the first place. Why do you think, the minute that 5G towers or whatever, the minute that 4G towers went up in American cities or in Los Angeles and New York City, they were already selling 4G cell phones. The minute that they put up 5G, all the phones are already 5G phones. Even though many of the areas, and by the way, I'm speaking for from an American perspective. But as from an American perspective, all of a sudden all the phones are 5G, even if you're living in a fucking state that doesn't even have 5G to begin with. They don't give a fuck what your infrastructure is. They'll push it regardless.
Yeah, I live in Oklahoma, and they sold 5G phones without having one single tower in the entire state. So
yeah. So I mean, the technology runs so damn fast. Technology runs far faster than people believe it does for some reason. Even today, 30 years ago, we're already living in what I would consider is a technological super future from what I could have imagined, it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess it would be. I probably wasn't thinking about that 30 years ago, but maybe 15 years ago.
Like when I was a kid and Back to the Future 2 came out, okay? It was mind-blowing, the shit that was in that movie. I was like, oh my God, dude, they're talking on a video. Are you...
Bro. We live in a better future than was imagined by most movies back in the day that were making up futures. We're more advanced than many of the futures people could have imagined. So yes, it's going to it's gonna pop off. Things are gonna go in a fucking direction. That's for sure.
Good morning, Knox.
Good morning, Knox. Good morning. It's like EU folks that are starting to wake up.
Yeah,
they're probably getting on. Well, also, where's my hoverboard? You need to go online and look because there are ones available.
Yeah, they got wheels on them, but they're called hoverboards.
They suck. They're getting better. No, there's actual hoverboards.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah, there's ones that they like air fans that push and stuff that.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like there's jetpacks, the water propelled jetpacks. See the people who use them over lakes and shit.
There's actual jetpacks. I've seen them. I saw the military videos of. That's pretty dope. Yeah, it's. I think Microsoft's going to be fine. I like I said, it does suck, but they're going to be good. Game Pass is going to be their vehicle, and like I said, it can be depends on if PlayStation denies having they're going to sell the physical copies or the digital copy on PlayStation, but it'll end up being on Game Pass. So, and I believe they will have a system. They'll have a system as a vehicle for Game Pass.
Yeah,
I think they always will.
Yeah. So, anyway, ladies and gents, we've been over 3 hours on this podcast.
Why are you trying to cut us off?
I don't, because I'm hungry. I'm getting cranky.
You're such a bitch.
I'm gonna start banning people for no reason.
You're such a bitch. Okay, that's fair. I mean, I gotta leave for work in 20 minutes. So
yeah. Okay, so we need to get off. Anyway. We've stayed way longer than we normally do, but we were having such a good time just kind of chilling, talking, and having a blast doing that. So I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I appreciate all the memberships and the subs. I really appreciate everybody that's subscribed to the Patreon. That's been super awesome, and I can't properly thank you for that. So thank you guys for all the support. Thank you guys for watching the podcast. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you guys haven't dropped a like on the podcast already. Outside of that, my friends, Mark, do you have anything?
No, man. You guys take care, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Next week, we're more than likely going to cover Microsoft's response. They're supposed to come out with a why are we doing the things we're doing type deal. So it should be
what they're doing.
Yeah, and what they're doing. So it should be kind of
interesting. Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably talk a little bit more about it next week, but. Outside of that, my friends, a couple more videos obviously going up next week. I'll be working on one tomorrow, probably recording tomorrow to post on Tuesday, and I might even work on one on Tuesday to post the next day. I don't know. We'll see. I got a lot of shit I got to talk about over next week. So outside of that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, and as always, we will see you next Sunday on the Just Gaming Podcast.
Podcast.
Peace.